Welcome everyone to the Chop Livestream. This episode, we got a lot of things to talk about. But before we do that, welcome to everyone in the chat. Welcome to the new subscribers, the old subscribers. We have Corelio, Kayo Kamada, Dixie Ray, Lena Clark, Kiara, Amateur Season, Sasha, hello, and Dumbling. Dumbling, I like your name. I'm living already. Diogo Moreo and Jeffrey Jill, welcome everyone. So, what are we going to do this week? This episode was absolutely crazy for all the wrong reason. But, we are going to talk before that about Midnight in the Library. The video went officially down yesterday in the very early morning. Well, yes, I'm a little bit speechless about it, but we're going to talk about it later. After that, we're going to chop the episode. We have Cracker with a possible villain added. We have some very, very, very questionable judging. And after that, we're going to make some more informed speculation, if you will. And after that, I promised you something last week, and we are going to talk about it, like it or not. So if you don't want to talk about it, at some point I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you when the section is going to start. You're always in time to leave the stream. Don't worry. Okay, so All Stars. Oops, wrong image. That's so professional, isn't it? As usual. Where's the good one? Where's the good one? There it is. That's the good one. So, damn, this stream is already starting the wrong way. Anyway, so Midnight in the Library went down. We did everything we could with it, but Viacom didn't want to hear us at all. So in their eyes, you cannot make parodies, you cannot make fun of them, you cannot do this kind of things. You've seen it happening when we did the Blame It on the Edit video. It went exactly the same way. So it's a little bit demotivating, it is, but at this point is in the hands of YouTube. YouTube will have to decide what will happen to this video. So we'll have to wait. I'll keep you informed. The problem is not only that the video went down, but that YouTube basically fucked us up with the channel. We lost something like 18 to 90% of the monthly views, which means nobody is watching our videos, probably because they're not suggested anymore. We've lost about 80% of the subscribers every week. And in our community post, we lost about 95% of the engagement in there. So whenever YouTube says, don't worry, if you are fighting a copyright claim or if a video is not monetized, it has absolutely no impact on your channel. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Sure. Anyway. My God. Before we begin, again, a correction from last episode. Now, if you remember last stream, I talked about India and the fact that she lamented this thing with contact sport and so on, and she basically jumped on Ivy's knee. But there is more to that story, because I didn't notice that at first, but when the lip sync began, Ivy throw her glasses at India like she didn't give a fuck. She just threw her glasses at her. So, you know, when you frame it like that, I can a little bit understand more that this happened. I can understand it a little bit more. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about villain edits for a moment. This is because the internet has completely exploded with support for Miz Cracker for getting a villain edit. And you know, if you follow the channel for a longer time, you know that we love to talk about villain edits. We're kind of experts. We look for them, we know what to look for, we know how to uncover them, we know all the bullshit that goes around them, and we have a prototype on how a villain edit is actually made. And you have to have some basic ingredients for a villain edit. You cannot just have someone appear in an unflattering light and say, oh, that's a villain edit right there. It doesn't work that way. In order to have a villain edit, like it happened to these very nice queens for last season, you need to have, number one, a behavior that it's been misconstrued, or at least taken to the extreme. If you remember, in episode 1 of season 12, with the first premiere, you had all that debacle about Widow being hangry because she was not being respected as a leader. And we took 20 minutes talking about it. The same goes with Britta. When she had things to say about Aiden going to sleep, never mind the fact that you had like 6 or 7 other queens around saying the same thing. You need a behavior. You need that behavior, and you need to take it to the extreme. What does it mean, taking it to the extreme? It means that the queen is followed by shady noises. Not 1, not 2, not 3, a dozen of them. Because don't forget, it's still reality TV, so you have to have shady noises. They also set the mood. They're not just there to tell you this is a villain. So every queen in each episode will have at least one shady noise to them. The point is, if it's a villain, in the moment in which it's depicted as villainous, it will have like a dozen in a very short span of time. After that, you need a shady edit in the old thing. So you need to have some bitchy comebacks. You need to have some bitchy expressions coming from the queens. Most of these are fake. We debunked a lot of them, but they are part of a villain edit because the queen has to look as worse as possible with absolutely no redeeming quality, especially in the same episode in which the queen has been established as a villain. The episode you establish that queen as a villain, the queen has no rebuttal, the queen has no discernible or understandable opinion about what's happening. It's absolutely her fault, no matter what happens. The person needs to be dehumanized in the episode in which she's established as a villain. So, is this happening? Is this happening to Miz Cracker? Well, we're going to take a look at it. We're going to take a look at it. But I'm giving you a spoiler alert immediately. Absolutely not. That's not what I've seen. If anything, the opposite is going on. So, the episode starts, and we have immediately this scene after the elimination. And if we count the shady noises, only in this segment, we have India getting shady noises, Alexis getting shady noises while talking to India, Mayhem getting shady noises while talking to Juju, Juju getting shady noises back. You get it. Everybody gets them in this moment, because this moment has to feel like a bitchy moment, a shady moment. They are discussing the elimination. They are discussing who they choose. It just sets the tone for this section. It has nothing to do directly with the queens, because almost all of them had this noises following them. So you start to understand that it's becoming the usual all-stars, where everybody can be thrown under the bus, because that's what all-stars is all about. Nobody says it, but I mean, look at it. Everybody gets thrown under the bus, one way or the other. One of two queens gets saved, but everybody else can be sacrificed for the sake of the show. So after this small segment, apparently the library is open again, because Miz Cracker has something to say. And I think this is the moment when many people started getting this idea in their mind that maybe she was being depicted as a villain. But if you look closely at this section, there is not much manipulation going behind it. Basically, Cracker came out saying, listen, I couldn't sleep last night because I felt guilty or I was worried. I don't recall correctly exactly what she said. But she wanted to take out a lipstick and write Ongina's name on it and then show that to the camera. And this thing got into her head so much, it gave her so much distress that the morning after she needed to come back to the workroom and discuss it with everybody else. Now, you can have any kind of opinion about this thing, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you think, what you should think. I'm telling you what I think. I think Cracker is just too smart to just happen to have this thing happening to her. There is something else going on. Clearly, there is something else going on. But that is just my opinion. That is just my opinion. Because Cracker is not an idiot. She is not an idiot. And she has shown time and time again over the years that she has absolute control over herself. So this sudden outburst of emotions brought on by the fact that she couldn't contain them, it sounds unrealistic to me. But the problem is not if it's unrealistic or not. The problem is that it's unwarranted. Because you have another queen right there who we all agree did one of the worst performances last episode. But nevertheless, when you sign for this show, you accept the rules. And the rule says, well, the judges decide who goes in the bottom. So, you know, to come out and say something like this, it sounded so gratuitous, so attacking. And it was not the edit. That was Cracker. That's the whole point that I'm going to make through the whole video. If anything, the edit is doing her favors. It's doing her favors because for some reason Cracker completely lost sight of which kind of game she was playing for this All-Stars. And I find it incredible. I mean, it doesn't fit the impression that I have of her to slip on to things like this. But maybe there is a reason for that. Maybe I got too used to Jackie Cox. Jackie Cox was absolutely incredible. She was the shade queen of season 12. I was living for her. She was smart as fuck. Nobody noticed, but she triggered each and every queen in there. And nobody noticed, you know? But she did it out of fun. It never really felt spiteful like this. So after we have this nice moment with Miz Cracker, Ongina thinks that the library is open again and absolutely reads her to filth. It's an incredible moment. It's probably the most iconic moment of All Stars.
And you didn't believe in yourself, and that's an all-star thing.
Where did that come from? Cracker wants to put my name on a lipstick with white out. Okay, first of all, you're not Ben de la Creme and you wish you were. And second, you're not a judge, so slow your roll. And third, like, there's no third because just shut the fuck up already.
I mean, damn. Ongina, my God, Ongina. That was just incredible, you know, the shade, the comparison with Ben de la Creme, because Ben de la Creme is arguably more successful than Miz Cracker. If we talk about following, we can discuss about it, but outside of it, I think there is absolutely no doubt that Ben is having a much more broadly successful career, where Cracker is really famous in the gay community. Ben de la Creme is branching out much more. So, you know, to give her this burn and coming back at her and telling her, shut the fuck up. I mean, how can you not leave for Ongina? And you can also understand from one perspective why someone would come for Ongina. I mean, she is the first really beloved queen to come out of Drag Race. Despite the fact that she came out in season 1, people asked for her year after year after year after year. Nobody forgot about her. If I come to you and ask you, do you know who Jade is? And everybody would answer Jade Jolie. No, Jade from season 1. And nobody would know who she is, but everybody knows who's Angina. That is the power. That is the power of Angina. So if I was competing against Angina and I wanted to win at any cost, of course I would come for her. Of course I would look for an excuse to come for her. So, but as you can see, Angina can defend herself, and she will defend herself, and I was absolutely living. She completely destroyed Cracker. And the point is that she's not the only one speaking out about this situation. And mind you, this is not about the edit. This is something that is going on. If anything, we were blessed by the fact that everything that we got out of all the other queens was 5 seconds of confessionals from Mariah saying that Cracker's comments was unwarranted, and the look between Alexis and Mayhem. This is what we got out of there. And it could have been much, much worse, because everybody was thinking the same thing. So if anything, the edit is helping Cracker. And we can speculate on why that is. We can speculate it. It could be because maybe, she had just a bad day and she took it out on Angina. It could be. But in my opinion, it's because World of Wonder has shown consistently, time after time after time after time again, that they are absolutely suckers for queens who are doing a killing outside of the show. Queens with big followings, queens who are getting gigs that are not just drag related. They are absolutely suckers for that. And when you look at these bunch of queens, who has the most followings? Think of them. Because those are the one who 90% of the cases are going to be in the top. Everybody else somehow will be lost in the way. Now, Ru comes in. And guess what? There is no mini challenge. Apparently, nobody paid for an advertisement. So for this season, we don't have a mini challenge. But if you go on the Wikipedia page, you will find out that the mini challenge is choosing 2 queens so that they can form 3 groups. Yes, we are at that level of delusional. So instead, we just have a maxi challenge, which, guess what, is writing lyrics, sings, and do a choreography. It seems like we're getting nothing else, are we? I mean, I get it. RuPaul has to sell a song. Now, from what Aquaria says, it looks like the queens might actually get royalties from these songs, so it's not that bad. But still, I'm getting a little bit tired of this singing, dancing, and lip-syncing. And that's all about it. It's either singing and dancing, or it's acting. Apparently, there is nothing else that we can do in the show, especially when we have such a bunch of talented queens. These are the all-stars. Mind you, this is not regular season. This is the all-star. But it's, singing and dancing. So we're going to stay with singing and dancing. So the queens divide in 3 groups. I don't know if I would have grouped them that way, because to me it looked like they didn't fit very well together. Like, I had no idea what Jujubee is doing with Alexis and India, for example. But, they chose their group, so it doesn't really matter. Let's move on. They have to write the lyrics for the RuPaul song I'm in Love. And they have to write lyrics to their celebrity crush. So we have some interesting choices there. I'm not going to discuss them because probably everybody is going to discuss them. I will tell you what my choice would have been, and it would have been Sean Hastings. That's a perfect piece of man right there. And we're going to keep it at that. Now let's move on. We are back to the workroom, and Angina is not done with Cracker. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. And she says, let's hope that Cracker will sink the whole group. My God. Angina. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But she was very ladylike, you know, where a lot of other people could have been, ugly about it. Ongina was very classy and to the point. I hope that she sings them. My God. And then Ongina also has this moment in which she says, I don't know if other people want me to be here. And Shay looks at her and she said, well, don't worry. I want you to be here. That's all that matters. It was such a nice moment to see. Most of all because, I have a bias. I told you the episode before that my top 3 is Shea Coulee, Ongina, and Jujubee. So, seeing this thing already made the season for me. She already made the season for me. It was a very nice moment. Probably the peak of the episode. Anyway, we go to rehearsal, and immediately we get another glimpse of the side of Cracker that I was telling you before. The fact that she is overproducing. This is not just a storyline that she had during her season. This is something that people usually get confused because regular seasons usually reduce a queen to a sentence. That is usually what a regular season of Drag Race does. And for Cracker was, oh, you're overproducing, we don't see you, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But that's just how she is. That's just how she acts. It's also, and I will say this to defend Cracker in a way, it's also part of being a professional. You have to overproduce, you have to be prepared, you have to have everything under control. That is part of being a professional. Then finding a right balance before the need for you to be a professional and the need for be as human as possible in a reality TV competition, well, that is something else. That is something that she clearly could improve upon. Let's say it like this, okay? But she is overproducing Mayhem, and of course, Mayhem is not happy about it. But we're going to talk about it later. Moving on with the rehearsal, we find out that Ongina she has problems with her voice. And this is a singing challenge. But don't worry, because for once, we are happy that everybody is getting auto-tuned. Yes, it's a singing challenge, but everyone was auto-tuned the shit out of their lyrics. I don't know if I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm living in 1984. The book, but I don't know why they call it singing. Why don't they call it interpretation of the lyrics? I mean, this really rubs me the wrong way. Singing, and then you autotune the shit out of it, and we're going to judge that because based on how intrusive the autotune is in the final outcome, we're going to judge the queens on that. Based on the assumption that if, autotune is all over the way, then probably their singing wasn't that good to begin with. Because, remember season 7? That's when we first got a glimpse on how bad autotune was. And in season 7, they didn't even perfect it. So it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I'm hypersensitive to that. So maybe I'm making it out too much, but I just can't stand it. It's like sewing going on in my ears. You have this rusty saw sewing on something. It's horrible. It's horrible. Moving on, we go back to the workroom, and apparently Blair has some doubts. She's thinking, who the fuck did I choose for my group? Why did I choose Cracker? Cracker is overproducing Mayhem. Cracker is overproducing herself. Cracker is not listen to anyone. Cracker has a plan and wants to go it that way. Now, again, let's be objective for a moment. We saw Blair being, in control in other seasons. Of course, years have passed, so things have changed. But if I have the choice, to say, okay, who do I trust more to bring this thing on to completion? Is it Blair or is it Cracker? And for me, it's Cracker all the way, because she's going to overproduce the shit out of it. She's going to make it look good. Maybe it will feel a little bit forced, but nobody will look at it and say it was a complete shamble. But the point is, from the point of view of the competition, you have a leader and you have to respect there. So Blair is pissed. Of course he's pissed. How can you not be pissed? Because she's telling Cracker to do things, and Cracker is like, oh no, but no, let's do it like this way, and then I throw my pillow, and then I do this, and then I do that, and you know, that's how it feels. That's how it feels. You cannot do much about it at this point, because the groups are made, the rehearsal has been made. So I think the point of this confessional for Blair was mostly to vent the anxiety of the competition. Because you know damn well that she was not happy about what happened the episode before. I think she was convinced she was scored really high. And in the end, she was treated as completely unremarkable. So you can see that she really wants this to succeed. She was also extremely prepared in her own verses, in her own choreography. She put on the lyrics. It was she really did her best. You know, I really felt for Blair this episode. It was a lot. It was a lot. So we have this moment in the workroom where everybody is like, "Oh, Mayhem, why are you sitting here?" Instead of Blair and Cracker, and Mayhem completely comes out. She lashes out everything. She is not holding back in the minimum, and she talks about what happened during the rehearsal. She talks about Cracker. She talks about her lyrics. You know, you've seen the episode. You know what's going on. The point is that we can discuss on how much whatever she's saying is true, on how much of it could be her way of being, I don't know, of throwing people under the bus, whatever it is. We can discuss about almost everything. What we cannot discuss is about if this section is part of a villain edit, because it's clearly not. She is talking about things that she has witnessed. If anything, we are witnessing the exact opposite. Because while Mayhem is saying all these things, we are treated with reaction shots from Miz Cracker. So she is not being depicted as a villain, she's being depicted as a victim. That's what none of the people I see online barely got from this episode. Cracker is not getting a villain edit, she's getting a redemption edit. Because at this point, at this exact point, you have Blair and Jujubee talking to Cracker and voicing their disapproval of the way she's been conducting herself. And after that, we are treated to almost 2 minutes, 2 whole minutes of Cracker's rebuttal. 2 whole minutes, that's a ton of time. That's a ton of time. Especially when you consider that everything that has been going on lasted for about 30 seconds. Mayhem section, 30 to 40 seconds. Blair and Jujubee, 30 seconds. But Cracker's redemption lasted for almost 2 minutes. And it's not just about that. It's not just about that. She's talking in the workroom. She's talking in her confessionals. She's talking in 3 different confessionals in this 2 minutes. We've seen Cracker being emotional. We've seen Cracker explaining things. We've seen Cracker giving reason. We've seen Cracker crying. This is not a villain edit. Not in the slightest. Villains do not get this kind of rebuttal in the episode in which they are established as villains. They don't get it. That's not how villain edit works. You know what this looks like? A redemption edit. A long crescendo in the whole episode, establishing the impression that she might not be behaving in a very nice way, only for at the end having her proving everybody that they are wrong. This is a redemption edit, and it got everybody fooled. Everybody fooled. You've seen armies of Cracker's followers going out. Oh my God, she's getting a villain edit. What are they doing? Because you know, it's All Stars. A fan favorite is going to be thrown under the bus, no matter what. And they thought it was going to be Cracker. She was not. She was not. And we are going to talk about this later on, because there is more to this. Don't think that it ended up here, because it continued in Untucked. And mind you, of everybody who has spoken ill of Cracker, because we started with Ongina, and by the end of the episode, Ongina went home. So mind who everybody else who talked is, and we're going to check their storylines and see how soon they will be going home. Because don't forget, last episode, we caught the editors sneaking in a confessional from Miz Cracker, and her hair was 2 to 3 weeks long. So, call it a spoiler if you will, but we don't do spoilers. We do reasonable assumptions. And that confessional looked like 3 weeks of growth to me, which you know what it means. And based on the redemption storyline established this episode, I guarantee you, everybody who went against her is going to go home. And it starts to go home real soon. Ongina already went home. Now, with that said, let's move on to the main stage, okay? Did I like this challenge? I liked it. I was entertained. But I cannot help but thinking that with this kind of cast, so much more could have been done. So much more. If they went in a completely different direction. But you also have to consider the fact Drag Race is not just a show, it's a brand. And it's a brand that branches out to many, many different forms of media. Think about DragCon, for example. And think about music as well, especially for RuPaul. So we are going to see these kind of things. I wouldn't be surprised if this number will end up in the Las Vegas show, the one that they have been promoting since the very end of season 12. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Maybe this song was even taken from there. I don't think so. I didn't check it. I'm sorry. I had too much things to prepare for this stream already. But Sorry, I got distracted for a moment because I was reading the comments with Kayo Kamada saying, you're only a villain if you're black or you are Fifi O'Hara, which, by the way, is half Filipino, if I'm not mistaken, or at least half Asian. Everything else is up for discussion. And, well, that's I think the same. I think the same. It didn't used to be this way, but look back. Look back at the season. Anyway, how are we going to judge? How are we going to judge this whole thing? Well, in the beginning of All Stars, I realized one thing. I wouldn't have the luxury that I had, for example, with the season 12 queens. Because the season 12 queens, a lot of what they did was heavily edited, or it was based on things that they had to prepare outside of the race, so I didn't really judge them. But even if I wanted to judge them, I didn't know them. So I wouldn't have really much problems dealing with my own biases. But the problem with these queens is that I know each and every one of them. And when you know them, you go in with your own biases and you look at a performance, and of course you're going to give your favorite a discount, and you're going to take somebody that you don't like. Like, for example, India. India doesn't do it for me. I said it even before we started the All-Stars chop. I said India should go on first. So when you have this kind of bias, you have to put something in place so that it doesn't influence too much the way you are critiquing these queens. So what I did for me was creating a scoring system. A way of of judging every single aspect of the challenge and then come out with what I think is my critique of the show, which is mine. It's mine. And it doesn't need to be right. It's just mine. So that's how we're going to do it. For the singing, they get from 0 to 3 chops. 1 for the lyrics, 1 for how intrusive the use of autotune was, and 1 for how tight was their lip sync. Then they get 3 chops, from 0 to 3 chops for the choreography. We're going to look at the characterization, that the impression that they do of the different characters, the way they stay in character, the way the character has been built, and the dancing. And then from 0 to 3 chops from the runway. And before we start chopping down on these queens, I want to talk a little bit for a moment about this damn runway, because the category is, for the runway, love the skin you're in. That was the category. Of course, it means everything and it means nothing at the same times, because it's reality TV. You cannot give something that it's 100% one thing. Otherwise, you don't have any kind of leverage for judging people however you want to. But still, we have an idea of what the category is. And a lot of these queens completely misunderstood the assignment. They completely misunderstood it. Because when you look at their dresses, yes, they are beautiful. But the runway theme was not best drag, was not eleganza extravaganza, was not cocktail party realness. It was not red carpet couture. It was love the skin you're in. So at some level, it has to connect to that. If it doesn't, then you misunderstood the assignment. And, we have 15 seasons before this season aired of people who got chopped down because they misunderstood the assignment. So from my perspective, things are not going to change for this season. You misunderstood the assignment. Well, then you're going to get chopped down, at least in my review, which counts absolutely nothing. But it's between you and me. At least we can discuss about it, So, let's move on. First, Alexis. I absolutely loved Alexis' performance. She's one of my favorite queen. With that said, her dancing was a little bit stiff. We saw it in the episode before as well. Everything else worked really well for her. Autotune was not intrusive. The lyrics were good. Everybody's lyrics were good. I didn't chop anybody's lyrics. They were all good in their own unique way, and none of them absolutely stood out in terms of extreme cleverness or how can I say, the poetic value of it. They were all good. They were all good. They were all entertaining, but they were also all average. So I never chopped anybody's lyrics, but I chopped Alexis dancing because it was really stiff. It was stiff. She could have done much better. I understand also that she gained a lot of weight. I don't know how fast she gained this weight, so it could be that she's not used to a different body. I don't know. I can understand if it happens, but I don't know. Anyway, she gets a chop there. The dress. The concept is good. The concept is on point with the runway. It's a gown made in how is it called? Real skin. What's the term for it? My God, the fabric. It has a way of it has a name. In English, it has a name. Damn, I have to check it out. Wait a moment. Leather. Thank you, Lena Clark. Leather. I'm sorry. You know. I don't have much vocabulary in English. Leather. So, the dress is made of leather. I didn't like that much this opening that she had to this fake pectoral muscles. Let's say it like this. But the concept is there. But I didn't like the dress very much. I didn't think it was very flattering. I didn't like the skirt. I didn't like this big opening. So for me, she gets another chop there. So Alexis ends up with 2 chops. Now, Jujubee. And Jujubee is where my heart absolutely sinks. She is one of my favorite queens of all times, and she's doing horrible doing the whole competition. And no matter how much I want to like everything she does and everything she says, she's witty as hell, she can read a bitch, she always looks beautiful when she's in drag. But if I have to judge her objectively, she is completely tanking down. She's completely tanking down, at least compared to everybody else. Her autotune was absolutely awful. It was so intrusive while I was listening to it. The lyrics were good, the lip sync was good, the dancing was good, but the runway, it was, girl, that was not the assignment. That was not the assignment. If I was to show you this exact, she looks beautiful, there is no doubt about it. But the point is, if I were to show you this runway of Jujubee and tell you that the category was red carpet couture, would you have thought that this thing served by Jujubee was the runway theme? Because I would have thought it was. Or if they told me, well, tonight Jujubee is serving cocktail party realness. Yes, I totally believe that. I mean, she looks beautiful, but that's not the theme. Everybody else worked their ass off to adjust to the theme. You have to do the same. You have to do the same. So as much as I love Jujubee, I'm sorry, but to me, only for the runway, she gets 3 chops. And that skirt is ugly as sin. She could have got rid of it. So it is how it is. I mean, it is how it is. We cannot give special treatment to everyone. We already have somebody doing that, and it's called the judges on the show. So at least outside of it, we can at least retain some resemblance of objectiveness that goes beyond what we do believe or what we do think about these queens. Because that doesn't matter. What's matter is that we have to maintain the illusion that this is a competition. And we cannot maintain that by saying that Jujubee's runway was perfect. It was not. It was not on theme. So, for me, she gets 3 chops there. Only on that. Moving on. The next big surprise for me, India Farah. India Farah. The lyrics were good. The lip sync was good. And surprise, surprise, the autotune was not intrusive at all. Now, you know that by the end of this episode, they put her in the bottom. So if they wanted their autotune to feel intrusive, they would have done that. Well, they would have probably done that. But the problem with autotune is that you cannot make it sound robotic if you are already in tune to begin with. That's one of the features of autotune. The more you're out of tune, the more you sound robotic. That's how autotune works. So I didn't. Let's say it like this: her singing was not intrusive at all for me. What I found that I didn't really like during the main show performance was the moment she was on the spotlight, because her dancing was good, but she had this tiny feeling of stiffiness to it. Like she was not really like Alexis. Less than Alexis. She was not really feeling comfortable in doing the dancing, and the characterization was good and on par with everybody else throughout the whole show. But you have just these 2 seconds when she has this moment in the spotlight in which you can see she's not really feeling her oats. But those are 2 very minimal things, and I couldn't bear myself to give her 2 chops because of this, because it's more like half and half. So I gave her 1. And the runway, this runway look next to Shea Coulee was some of the best thing that I've ever seen on All Stars. This was absolutely beautiful, and her makeup is fantastic. When she came, during her entrance in All Stars, and she had this hard cheek line that she usually does. I thought she's going to serve this shit the whole season. It's going to look awful. And then she comes out with this, and I was absolutely blown away. I was absolutely blown away by India Farah. She has the smile of a shark, but she's absolutely killing the competition, and she didn't deserve the bottom in the slightest. In the slightest. This runway from India was probably the most beautiful thing she has ever done on Drag Race. It was so good. It was so good. And you know, if I tell you this, starting from the point of view that she needs to go on first, you know that we are up to something. There is real growth there. You know, it wasn't just that 9 years have passed. Something happened there. So we should at least recognize it, since the show is not recognizing it. So, India Farah, for me, she gets one chop on the whole thing. Moving on. Cracker. Now, where's Cracker? There we go. Cracker's dancing was probably one of the best in our group. She did very well. I had no doubt she would do very well in that department. Because she put a ton of effort in it. But her autotune, girl, it was really intrusive. I don't know if she got unlucky because she got a section of the song in which the melodic up and downs were really noticeable, especially for someone who cannot sing. But the autotune was just, it was just awful on Cracker as well. So she gets one chop there. And on the runway, I have no idea what this is. I have zero idea what this is. So maybe I'm missing something. Maybe, again, we have a cultural barrier of some kind. But that thing, it doesn't read the category at all. That dress should read, love the skin you're in. I mean, she's not even light chocolate skin. She's white. So you cannot even say, well, the dress is my skin tone. What is that? What is that? I am coming from these queens like Jujubee and Miz Cracker. I am expecting that you bring on the runway theme. You have to. You absolutely have to. When you have bottom of the barrels, and I own that word. Bottom of the barrel queens like India Farah coming out with what she came out, and you come out with this? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. For me, I like the dress. I like it. It's not bad enough to warrant a chop for that, but she gets 2 for misunderstanding the assignment. You have to understand the assignment. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. So for me, Cracker gets 3 in total. Moving on, we have Blair. Now, with Blair again, we have an issue with autotune. It's so intrusive, and I don't understand it because we heard her singing. We heard her singing. Okay, during rehearsal, you know that she could hold that tune. So why the hell did her autotune feel so robotic? Like, it was so robotic. So I gave her a chop because of the autotune, but we can discuss about that. Because, in a way, it feels like they decided to pick the worst that she did during rehearsal. Because we saw a moment in rehearsal in which her tuning was next to perfect. If they auto-tuned that, it wouldn't have sounded nearly as robotic. So I'm calling shade there. Nevertheless, she gets a chop there. But we can discuss about it. And then we go to the runway. Now, her runway theme is pink skin. And she has this, what is this material called? Well, it resembles leather. It's all in pink. She painted pink. She has this yellow hair. The concept work. I'm not sure how much it was read as comfortable in your own skin, but at least you can see that she got a concept there, and she looked beautiful. To me, she absolutely looked beautiful. She still gets 1 chop for a runway. because it wasn't as, I don't know, as in a way eloquent as a concept. You know, you look at it and you have to think for a moment, what the fuck am I looking at, in order to get it. So for me, she gets a total of 2 chops. Latex. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Latex. Moving on. Who do we have next? Mayhem Miller. Now, I noticed something with Mayhem's lip sync. It was not very synced. I saw a couple of different sections in which she struggled to recall the lyrics. I don't know if the judges picked up on this, but I surely did. So she gets a chop there. Other than that, the performance was on average, like everybody else. But her concept for the runway, I think I see the concept. I see it. She's going with her skin color. That's her interpretation of comfortable in her skin. The dress is pretty flattery, but it looks like it's a little bit poorly executed. When you have queens like India or Shea, that we're going to see later, bringing that level of commitment to the theme, and you look at Mayhem, I cannot help but thinking you could have executed it better. So for me, she gets a chop there as well. Next up, Shea. What can we say about Shea? There is nothing to say about Shea. She just came in and murdered everyone. And that's just how it is. And when you look at her runway theme, that clearly reads comfortable in your own skin. That's how you develop a concept. That's how you develop the concept. So as much as I love Jujubee, she didn't develop it at all. And if we fail to acknowledge them, if we fail to acknowledge it, then we are disrespecting queens like Shea, who actually put the work in, or queens like India, who actually put the work in. So that's the whole point of it. Shea was completely incredible. She completely blew me away. I knew she was going to blow me away, and you know that because I'm vocal about it. But the runway was simply fantastic. It was fantastic. It was a great concept. It was executed beautifully. I had no doubt that she was going to win. And I hope they don't pull any kind of bullshit during the whole season, because this time I'm going to get really pissed. Moving on. Ongina. Now, Ongina's autotune was very, very, very intrusive. It was the worst out of everyone else. But the point is, we also know that she had problems with her voice. So, you know, how fair it is to judge her because of that. Well, you know, the fan in me would say it's absolutely not fair. So she gets a pass on the autotune. That's the fan in me. But the problem is, I also know that Ongina can't sing. So even if she had a voice, it would have sounded robotic as well. So she gets a chop there. The lyrics were good, like everybody else. I liked her characterization and dancing. I thought that she was much better than many other queens. I'm not going to name them, just roll back. You will see who I chopped for the dancing. But her dancing wasn't bad at all. Not so bad to actually warrant a chop for it. She was committed to the character. She was not stiff. Maybe, yes, they could have choreographed something more. But they have already so much choreographed for it. They had already so much. So I liked Ongina's performance. What I didn't like was her dress. Her neck was absolutely unflattering, and this is the only thing that I think that my critique has in common with what went on the stage. This, I think, is the only thing we can all agree on. The neckline is non-existent, and you have to have a neckline, but she has a concept. Unlike many other queens, she actually has a concept, which reads into her heritage, which reads into who she wants to show us. She is this proud person of an heritage, and she's taking something from her own culture and dressing it up. That's her interpretation of being comfortable in your own skin. So, although it's not immediately, it doesn't pop out like Shay's, for example, she still developed the concept. But I didn't like that neckline. I didn't like it. I simply didn't like it. So she gets a chop there. She definitely gets a chop there. And last but not least, Mariah. Now, Mariah, for me, she was one of the worst. She was one of the worst. She failed to me in the main challenge, in the lip sync. You can see her missing the words, and girl, you are a drag queen. That is unforgivable. The song has like 3 sentences, plus your lines. Plus your lines. You cannot skip on words. I mean, you know, a precedent was set there in season 3 when she lip synced and she said, I'm just going to shalabalaba tuna. Girl, it's been 9 years. You're still shalabalaba tuning on All Stars. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. So she gets a chop there. The dancing was really stiff and absolutely underprepared. Looking at what everybody else was doing, Mariah was just having 2 sexy moves. That was her number. So for me, she gets another chop there. But my real problem with so many other queens as well was that on the runway she misunderstood the assignment. That doesn't read comfortable in your own skin. It's a beautiful gown. You looked fantastic. You looked stunning. Your makeup is on point. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But this is not best drag runway. This is not eleganza extravaganza. This is not red carpet couture. This is comfortable in your skin. And you didn't develop a concept. It's beautiful, but that's not the concept. So you misunderstood the assignment and you get 2 chops there because of that. Out of 3, because the gown is still beautiful. So she doesn't get 1 there. But still, you know, we have runway themes for a reason. Otherwise, let's just get rid of them. Just, you know, come on the runway with whatever the fuck you want. What is the point of having a theme if then you just come here and look beautiful? Yes, you look beautiful. She looks beautiful. That's not the point. So, you know, am I being too hard? Am I being too harsh? You know, by the end of doing all this judgment, I came out with a chart that was the opposite of what I wanted it to be. So you know that it's really helping me being objective, but you know, maybe I'm being too harsh in an effort to try to be as objective as possible. Could be, but still, I don't know. I felt so bad for Mariah after seeing what she did for the last episode, after getting and putting in the effort to understand what she did in the last episode. And after waiting for so many years to see her again, this level of, you know, how would you like to call it? I don't want to call it unprofessionalism, because it seems like they only had 2 to 3 weeks to prepare for All Stars. It seems like. I'm not sure about it. Okay? So I wouldn't call unprofessional when you just didn't have the time. But still, you know, if we're going to give queens like Mariah and Jujubee a pass for not preparing, in a way, we are also robbing queens who really put the effort in of all the work they put in. We are robbing them of that. So, you know, it's just a luxury that we cannot afford. At least we are not going to afford it. At least not on this show. So this is the chart I ended up with. And boy, it looks the opposite of what I wanted it to look. But this is not about what I wanted to look. This is about trying to have a fair way of judging these queens. Because on the show, they're not being fair at all. So our winner with 0 chops is Sheikulé. Did you have any doubt about it? I didn't have any doubt about it. That's the only thing that I predicted from my own chart. On the second position, we have India Farah with 1 chop. Yes, the queen that I was reading the shit out of it 2 episodes ago. She is absolutely killing it. She's absolutely killing it. And I'm starting to get wind over. My partner, not so much. Not so much. But then again, it doesn't look at the show, at their performance in the same objective way as I've been doing for the past 2 episodes. So, you know, there you go. In third position, we have Alexis, Blair, Mayhem, and Ongina. With Alexis and Blair maybe being a little bit higher because of what we talked during the critique. With Blair's autotune sounding a little bit too convenient, and Alexis dancing being a little bit stiff, but not as stiff as many other queens. But, you know, they have 2 chops. And in fourth position, Miz Cracker with 3 chops. She misunderstood the assignment for the runway team. And my bottom 2 was Jujubee and Mariah with 4 chops. They both misunderstood the runway team and didn't have, and you know, I wouldn't call it even excellent. They had an average to below average performance on the main show. And it breaks my heart, but I think from what I have critiqued the episode before and this episode, I think Jujubee should have probably went home. Yes, I know how it sounds. But when you tally in the numbers, that's what the number says. And you don't have to agree with the number. I have trouble agreeing with the number myself, but everybody else is delivering, and Jujubee is resting on being Jujubee. Which, you know, it could be totally enough, but look at what everybody else is doing. Look at what everybody else is doing. I mean, Jujubee is a powerhouse if Jujubee is not being lazy. And what I'm getting from this season is that Jujubee is resting on being Jujubee. She's being lazy. She's holding back. I don't know if she has personal reasons. I don't know if she just disinvested in the show. I don't know if it's her way of being, I don't know, in a way less competitive toward everybody else. She's Jujubee. She's going to get any possible kind of reasonable doubt from me. That's my personal bias. I don't hide it. I wear it. So she's going to get every single pass from me. But still, she's not delivering as everybody else. I was expecting more. Much more. Anyway, the judging, for me, it was completely out of place. I don't know what you guys think, but first of all, having a bottom 3 makes no sense. Why would you have a bottom 3? I mean, either you judge them as groups, and then you put the whole group in the bottom 3, otherwise you make a bottom 2. Last episode, you had a bottom 2. What's the point? What's the point of having a bottom 3 in this episode? I don't get it. Just because of that, I don't get it. Wait a moment, I have a comment from Law for AHYC. What do you mean Jujubee had a poor performance in episode 1-2? She won a mini challenge and was solid in a maxi challenge, even if you thought she was not singing live. It's not a thought, it's been confirmed by Blair. Don't take my word for it, because I'm talking by what I can recall from Twitter. But, you know, she was lip-syncing. That's my problem that she had in the first performance. And if you are presenting if your talent is singing, I have to hear you sing. Because if you don't sing, for me, it's like you didn't even do the challenge. You were not even there to begin with. So while everybody else, Blair and everybody else in All Stars before sang live, Jujubee did not. Now, I don't know what went on there, because I don't believe that Jujubee said, okay, you know what, my talent is singing, and I'm going to lip sync my song without dancing, without doing anything, just staying there, moving my mouth. And that is my talent. I don't think that that is what happened. What I think happened is that she tanked for some reason, and the editors did her a favor by putting her studio version of the song instead of her live singing. This is what I think happened. But you have to understand, in both scenarios, that's a terrible performance. If you're presenting yourself as a singer, that's the whole point. I hope you understand what I mean by that, because we talked about it a lot during the last episode. So yeah, she killed it in the reading challenge. Of course she killed it. I mean, it's Jujubee. What do you expect? She is the queen of reads. She is one of the shadiest bitch out there. She will read a queen and she will read it good. So of course she won. But you know, that challenge was singing. She had to sing. What I heard was a recorded track. So where were we? I lost the point a little bit. Wait a moment. Where are we? Oh, the judges' critiques. So the judges' critiques are interesting. Alexis is safe, which I could understand, but I don't really understand it. You know, India was my second best, and she's in the bottom. So my third and fourth best were Alexis and Blair, and Alexis is safe. She is just safe. Then we move on to India's critiques, or absolute bullshit. They took 1 second of her performance and read to filth because of that, which is really unfair toward India. It's really unfair. Jujubee is praised despite the fact that she fucked up the runway. But she is praised because she's Jujubee. And of course I want to see her praised, but not if she didn't deserve it. And then we have Blair, and the judges says that, well, but her concept doesn't really read like skin. Oh really? Does it? And what about everybody else? You just judge Jujubee. And after that, you're telling Blair your concept doesn't read like skin? So keep in mind these critiques, because they're telling us the storylines. That's what's important about these critiques. It's not what they say, because what they say is bullshit. It's complete, utter bullshit. What they're telling us with these critiques is which storylines are going to be assigned to who. That's what the critiques are for. For if it wasn't clear enough from the edit, we get the storylines from the critiques. The only critique that I agreed with was the critique of Angina's dress. The neck was really out of place. That was the only one. And then we have some critiques of Mariah. They read to filth her performance when it was really not that bad. The problem is, for me, that she completely tanked the assignment again. And we have a bottom three. How nice is that? Mariah, India, and Angina. Incredible, Mariah, India, and Angina. This were the bottom three. And you know that there was a storyline there already, because India didn't deserve to be there in the slightest. Mariah, yes, we can talk about it. Angina just didn't belong there. Jujubee belonged there. But, you know, when you come from an episode in which India won, Mariah was on top, and somebody didn't do really good in the first challenge to begin with and got a discount. Because she got a discount. So who's going to go home? You know, U.S.C. It's, I don't know. I have this love-hate relationship with All Stars because I'm happy to see these queens again. I'm happy to see them again. And at the same time, I also know that a ton of shit is going to go down. Much more than the usual seasons. Or maybe it's the same ton of bullshit. It's just that with the original season, we don't really know that it's going on because we don't really know those queens. You know? When it comes to queens like Mariah or Jujubee, these are queens that I've known for almost a decade. If they're fucking with them, I notice it. But with newer queens, it's more difficult. But still, this All Stars is all over the place. It's all over the place. It's it's taking me out of the illusion. That's the problem that I always have since they moved to VH1. They are completely destroying the illusion. It's supposed to be a competition, and they're always competing on one thing: singing, dancing, acting. It's all of that. There is nothing else. There is no being creative anymore. There is no making dresses. There is no speaking, talking, not necessarily stand-up comedian, but actually interacting. Real interaction, not like acted interaction. Make them go in the street. Make them talk to people. Make them, talk about something. There is nothing on this. I don't know. Whatever. Let's move on. We go to the workroom and Angina breaks down. Of course she breaks down. She didn't start very well to begin with, and she didn't have a very first good episode. She didn't have a very good first episode, sorry. And, of course, somebody had the need to make her feel completely like shit in the beginning of the episode. So, she cracks down. Reads the room, and says, well, clearly, these other two queens deserve to be here more than me. And she is right. In a way, from her point of view, she is completely right. These two queens were in the top. They were in the top last episode, and she got a free pass. At least that's what she believes. That's what I believe as well, if you remember the chart, but that's beyond the point. So she has a breakdown, and she simply said, you know what? They deserve it more than me. I'm done. Thank you so much. Get me my pocketbook. I'm leaving. And in a way, maybe it's also better like this, because it's already started to become a toxic environment. When you have those kind of comments masquerading as an honest mistake, masquerading as a possible critique, all misunderstood because of that, it's get out. Get out of there. It's not good for you. We love you. That's what's important. Get out. So when she tapped out, because basically she tapped out, in a way, I was really happy for Angina. We got her. And we always got her. So it doesn't really matter. I was hoping to see her, having a good time and showcasing herself and show the growth and see her again on television. But, it's not worth it. If it's going to go like that, it's simply not worth it. So good for her. Of course, after Angina's breaks down, it's the Cracker show again, in which we get to see Cracker apologizing and explaining herself again, and we have a whole minute of Cracker apologizing and explaining, and in this whole minute we also have two confessionals of her. And you think, it's a whole minute. Well, it's not that much, it's 60 seconds. Well, try to watch the show and get 1 minute of one person talking with a chronometer going on it. See how it feels. It's an eternity. It's an absolute eternity, especially when you compare it to everybody else. So when I hear this thing, and I constantly hear it, oh, Cracker is being portrayed as a villain. Please don't disrespect people who have been portrayed as villains, like Fifi, like last season. What happened with Britta? What happened to Widow? Don't disrespect them. This is not a villain edit. She's been given ample time to rebut, to show her emotions, to explain her position, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah. And this whole situation, I'm not aggravated at Cracker herself. I'm aggravated at the situation. Because people are making out to be as if she was a victim. When what I'm saying is not that at all. What I'm saying is a storyline being created to elevate a performer who is being average in light of other people who are being excellent. This is why I'm aggravated. So you know that. After that, we have Alexis speaking the truth. And Alexis is going to go home for this. She is going to go home. Girl, it was nice to see you. You are beautiful. I don't give a shit if you gained weight. But you're going to go home for this because she dared say, I am surprised Ongina wasn't the bottom. And when India said, I felt like I didn't do that bad. And Alexis said, you didn't. And she was dead serious. She was dead serious. Alexis is going home. If you thought she had any chance to reach the top 3 after this moment, and after the way, of course, after the way she's been criticized and judged the first 2 episodes, it's pretty clear that she is not in the top 3 in the slightest. They're going to chop her down and chop her down as soon as possible because she's basically being the voice of reason and the voice of truth without the need to be loud, without the need to be controversial, without the need to attacking anyone. She's just calling it for what it is. So India went and she said, I feel I didn't do that bad. And Alexi looked at her and calmly said, you didn't. So people like Alexis do not enjoy a long life on Drag Race. That's not what you have to do if you want to stay there. But I appreciate the hell out of it. I appreciate the hell out of it for what Alexis is doing. But nevertheless, she's going to go home. And by the looks of it, she's going to go home really soon. Like really soon. Like if it's not this episode, it's going to be the one after it. I don't know, guys. It is how it is. Next up, we have the lip sync. We have the lip sync assassin, which is Alyssa, who didn't do a split. She didn't do a jump split, which is strange. It is strange. A lot of people noticed that, saying things like, oh, it was rigged because of this and because of that. And of course, it's a possibility. I'm not going to get my judgment clouded by the fact that, oh, I wanted to win, had to win. That's not the point. Of course, it's a possibility. But, if you accept the possibility that this lip sync was rigged to begin with, you also have to accept the possibility that maybe the song didn't really call for a jump split. What do you think? So, anyway, I was entertained. And that is the important thing. That is the important thing. The lip sync was really good. Both of them did really good. Shay redeems herself. She actually worked her ass off, which was that was the important thing. Because don't forget, the last thing we saw of Shay lip syncing was Shay being murdered by Sasha Belle. So coming back, she had to prove something, and I think she did. So since she probably has less money than Alyssa Edwards, I'm more happy that she got the 20,000 tip. And probably Alyssa had in her contract something like, if you win, you don't get the 20,000. Oh my god. Oh my god. So in the end, it doesn't really matter who won because both of them had the Ongina lipstick. So Ongina went home. Good for her. Good for her. You know, when you are in a situation in which you mathematically cannot not escape, you cannot resolve that situation and get something out of it, there is no shame in walking away and looking for other situation from which you can get something out of. So Ongina, we are all with you. I wanted to make a beautiful animation to say goodbye to her, but I didn't have time to do that, and I didn't have the motivation to do that because this bullshit going on with YouTube is really taking a toll on my motivation. So also, if you notice, we have had a lot of still frame images in the live stream, and we usually have a lot of videos to explain all of these things. So you see the result of it. Anyway, will queens return? I think so. Of course they have to return. They will have to return in one function or the other. So what do we think will happen when they return? Will someone return to the competition? Maybe. It could be. It's starting to sound a little bit old, but it could be. What I absolutely don't think it will happen is that they will give them any semblance of power, like decide the top 3. No, that's not going to happen. That's not how World of Wonder works. They want the power, and not just some of it, they want all of it. So either they find a way to make it look as if the queens get to decide something when they really decide nothing. Otherwise, they will come out in another shape or form. We'll have to see about it. We'll have to see about it. What else do we have? We haven't talked. Now, what was interesting happening in Untucked? Well, I don't. Did many of you watch Untucked to begin with? Did any of you see it, or you just watched the episode? Because if you did watch it, you would have noticed that it was the Cracker show again. Of course. Of course it was. Wait a moment. Chat, don't get crazy about the Sasha's lip sync. Okay? Don't get crazy about it. We've talked about it for years. It's enough. Come on, guys. Come on. We all have different opinions. We all have different point of view. But we talked about it for almost 4 years. Come on. Let's talk about Cracker's edit. And how bitchy she really is in real life while trying to appear as sweet as she can. My God. That's an alleged right there. Anyway, what's important happening in Untucked is that they are closing in with Cracker's redemption edit. So you have this moment, and keep your attention to it. Because Cracker is complimenting Alexis. This is a clip. Cracker is complimenting Alexis, and she is edited to smile back at Alexis. So when she gives her this compliment, it feels a little bit forced. You know, it doesn't really feel like it's from the heart. Cracker is being deadly serious. But a tiny clip of her smiling back at Alexis is edited in, just to make it look a little bit better. So take a look.
Watching you take control of the choreo, I was like, this bitch.
Right.
Anything anyone has to say about her just got shut up because she is fire.
All right, so this is our second time going in there to have to vote in that bathroom.
Yeah, that was something. That was definitely something. I mean, does that look like a villain edit to you? Because, you know, villains usually are... wait a moment, I need to close down a lot of the previous opened images. Otherwise, whenever I play videos, they will look absolutely like shit. Almost there. Okay, there we go. That doesn't look like a villain edit at all. When you are a villain, you are bitch facing everyone. You're not edited to smile back at people. That's not what a villain edit looks like at all. But that's what we got from this Untucked. And it's not just that. It's not just that. Because in the same Untucked, at some point, and this I'm going to show you another small video, you have a moment in which Mayhem and Alexis are basically giving feedback to Cracker. They're basically saying, you know, you are difficult to work with, you want to have things done your own way, and all of that. And immediately after, we have confessionals of Cracker. Sorry. We have a confessional of Cracker bending the narrative back in her favor. And we, as the audience, are going to left with the impression that Mayhem and Alexis were completely full of shit. Because Cracker was given the last word. So, you know, that's not what a villain edit is. At all. So let's look at this and you can make up your own mind about it.
Watching you take control of the core.
Oops. Wrong clip. Sorry. This is the right one.
You do or say things in a way that comes across as being self-centered. And it's
arrogant. Really arrogant.
It's not just one person, it's not just two people, it's like everyone has that same impression.
This competition is about relationships, and if suddenly I'm at the mercy of the majority, these girls will wipe me off of the mirror.
Sorry, I took a moment to give it a little bit of vape. I added nicotine down. I was also reading the comments. So, well, no, there is nothing to say there, sorry. So we have this moment of rebuttal for Cracker, and it's not just that. It's not just that. We have one last scene from Untucked as well. Basically, you have Alexis that is having a moment, you know, she's upset about Ongina giving up, being put in the bottom, even though she didn't deserve it in the slightest. And she's having a little bit of a moment with Shay. She's starting to tear up and all of that. And out of nowhere, you know, Cracker emerges, puts herself in the middle of the whole thing. She's on the other side of the room, but she's probably looking at them. She's probably listening. You know, she's probably thinking, wait a moment, an emotional moment going in there? This is good for my edit. Let me walk there. So she walks there. And of course, imagine Alexis. She's having an emotional moment. She's being real. She's being realistic with the competition. She's probably also realizing that they're going to make her dirty as shit. Because if that happens to Ongina today, it's going to happen to herself tomorrow. So all of this thing are going around, and there Cracker comes. You know? And Cracker comes with some bullshit talking. And Alexis immediately, and you gotta love Alexis for that, she comes back with a joke, not so much joke, saying, I wish it was you that went home, to Cracker. And I gagged so much. But of course, the editors followed that with a confessional from Cracker, rebutting the situation and bending the narrative again in her own favor. And all of this not only tells us that she doesn't have a villain edit, it also tells us what's going to happen to Alexis really, really soon. Sooner than you might think. So let's watch the clip, then we talk about it.
This is one of the most difficult decisions ever. And now we're gonna have to go and vote.
I just wanted to hear what you were saying, you ladies, because I respect your guys' opinions so much, and it's just such a hard one.
I wish it was you.
That I showed the genuine, vulnerable, raw side of me to Mayhem and Alexis today. And now she's gonna throw shade.
Damn. Damn. That was so much. That was so much. So in the end, what I hope that you got from this whole talking about Cracker is not that you have to like her or that you necessarily have to dislike her. It is how it is. You know, at the end of the day, it's a show. It has to entertain. That's the whole thing. But if we are talking about the meaning of the edit and how it's being carried on, I think there is absolutely no doubt that Cracker is receiving a redemption edit. Everything points out to it. And whenever you see a little bit of a shady noise here or a little bit of a bitchy face there, that it's basic all-stars. Everybody gets a shady noise here and there. Everybody has a bitchy comeback now and then. You have this, this bitchy faces whenever somebody is saying something that have been clearly edited in. The point is not if it happens or it doesn't happen. The point is how much does it happen and how it inserts itself in the context of the whole edit. Because what I'm seeing is with Cracker is a very, very favorable edit. Very favorable. Because redemption edits are some of the most successful edits that we have ever had, not just on Drag Race, but in reality TV. They are by far the most beloved edits, and people associated with those often also get very successful careers out of it. So I wouldn't go as, toxic as I've seen many people saying, oh, Cracker, villain edit, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. That's not that. That's not that. There are people out there who really got villain edits and got to be burned by it. Let's not forget about Britta and people telling her that she deserved to be pushed under a train because of her edit. That was a villain edit. And that was the exact result of a villain edit. So if you are a fan of Miz Cracker, don't come out, screaming victim, 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 and villain edit. That's offensive to everybody who got it and is still paid the price for it. Cracker is getting a very favorable edit. Just so if you're a fan of her, just be happy with it, because she's getting one of the most favorable edit out of everyone. So with that said, let's move on to speculation. Okay? Who's going to be in the top? Well, Miz Cracker is going to be in the top because All Stars is not a regular season. And if you get a redemption edit on All Star, either you're going home immediately because you're getting a Tatiana-like redemption edit, so a redemption arc that goes over your career, you're coming back to show your growth, that's your redemption, then you might go home first. But if you're a famous queen, that kind of edit, it's going to carry you to the top, without any doubt. And don't forget the confessional, that damn confessional that came out 10 minutes after episode 1 started. They might as well put a giant tag saying Cracker goes on to be in the top 3. Because that damn confession, she had her hair originally cut so short that you couldn't even ignore the growth if you wanted to. And that came 10 minutes after. And not only her hair had grown, it was also styled differently. So, what the hell? What the hell? So, Cracker is clearly on the top 3. I have no doubt about it. Also, if we didn't know all of that, check her edit. Her edit was really this good this episode. So I had no doubt that she's going to get to the top 3. Everybody else, we can discuss about it. Do I think Jujubee might be in the top 3? I certainly want her to, and I certainly noticed that she received many discounts only in 2 episodes. Her singing, not singing, that was really lip syncing, but maybe it was just bad singing covered with a track. We don't know what's going on there. We don't know what happened, but we can at least take a guess at why it happened. They're doing her a favor. So if they're doing her a favor, then doing it for a reason. Do I think that's enough to say she's going to get to the top 3? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But she is surely not going home anytime soon. That much I think. Shay, I don't know what they're going to do with Shay. She's doing really well. But I didn't see anything that from the edit or the judging itself that could clearly tell me that they either want her to go home soon or to be in the top. She is killing the competition, but as you know, killing it is not enough to win it. You also have to have the producers on your favor, especially in a season like All Stars, where you don't really even have a live finale and everything else. Blair, I get the feeling that they don't really know what to do with her. They don't really know what they are dealing with. Blair has had a ton of growth since her season, so much that I almost don't recognize her on screen anymore. She looks like a completely, not necessarily different, but a fully realized person that is far away from where she started from. And I have the feeling that they're not harnessing all of this, and they don't really know what to do with it. So in a way, I have a feeling that they put her there to be a filler. Also, judging by the fact that she is clearly getting no favors during the judging. She was called out for her dress not being on theme, and Jujubee immediately before was completely that thing was completely ignored for her, So that's telling me something. Now, who are we left with? We are left with Mayhem, Alexis, India, and Mariah. Now, Alexis is just too famous to go home next episode. I'm not buying it. And she's also been killing the first 2 episodes, so it makes absolutely no sense to send her home next, but she's going to go home soon. Because she's speaking too much. She's simply speaking too much. Is she going home before Blair? I think so. If she keeps like this, I think so, without any doubt. Now, let's talk about Mayhem, India, and Mariah. Now, India and Mariah did very good. But especially India, it's like India and Mariah, they how can I say? They elevated them so much in episode 1, and as quick as they elevated them, they're getting rid of them. Did any of you get this impression as well? It was just incredible how quickly they pushed them both to the bottom, and they pushed them to the bottom, especially India. So in a way, I feel that one of the two is going home next. I don't see Mayhem going home before India or Mariah, mostly because Mayhem has ties with production. She is the one who came in for helping with the makeup for the drag race, the secret celebrity drag race. So I don't think she would go on third. I think at least having to work with them and the fact that they're basically, putting other queens as the face of celebrity drag race, and then having queens like Mayhem sneaking in to actually do the makeup, I think it's worth more than only 2 or 3 episodes on All Stars. So based on that, I don't think she's going on next. I think that India and Mariah are in a very, very bad position for next episode. But we're going to see about that. We're going to see how the season turns out. Anyway, it's All Stars, and it's been a shit show. So, it's All Stars. We are completely on track. We are completely on track. My God. Let's take a look at the comments. What do we have? Ooh, there is a lot going on in the comment. There is absolutely no way I'm going to pick up by reading from the bottom at all. At all. Teresa, why are you spoiling us? Oh, Teresa, listen. I'm not going to. I saw that you apologize. I appreciate that. We don't do spoilers here. I know that there are people in the production that are speaking out. I know that there are spoilers videos out there. I know that there is a whole subreddit for spoilers. We don't do spoilers here. That takes away all the fun. What we do is speculate based on what we see on the show. That is the only rule. So everything can go with it, but it has to be on the show. So if it's in the confessionals, if it's in the way it's edited, if it's in the title credits, if it is whatever it is, it has to be on the show. That's the rule of the speculation game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but otherwise there is no fun to it. You know? So I mean, don't worry, it happens. It happens. And after all, you didn't you just quoted queens from social media, so in a way, but you know, just so you know, this is the kind of game that we do here, so it's no big deal. Okay, don't be too harsh. Not everybody knows what exactly we do here, and everybody has a different kind of policy in the way they manage possible spoilers or even reasonable assumptions. You know, I always say, if you don't want possible spoilers, blah 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 blah. Anyway, guys, I promised something to you last episode. And if you remember, because we are going to do it, I know we have been doing the stream for almost 2 hours, and I will probably need a couple minutes to prepare for it, but we are going to do it. We are going to talk. We are going to talk about Gigi Good. So please do me a favor, if you are new to this channel, if you never watched an episode of the Chop, if you never watched the live streams before, I'm going to spend 5 minutes to give you the heads up. Okay? But when I try to post something remotely similar to this in the community, be it because I'm not native English, be it because I worded it wrong, be it because people talk without really reading, people exploded. Okay, so let's not have this live stream explode. Know where we are coming from and know what we are doing with this. We're not here to insult anyone. We're here to talk about what's going on behind the scenes. And we're going to talk about it. But first, I need to take a 1 minute pause, because I absolutely need to take a 1 minute pause. So back in a second. I'm sorry I don't have background music. Maybe I can find it. So at least you listen to something, you know, like elevator music, whatever it is. But I need to mentally prepare for this. What do we have? We have Nimbus. Okay, let's see if I can project sounds from my computer. Yes. Back in a moment. And we're back. We are back and we are going to do this. My God, we are going to do this. I still need to mentally prepare for this. Okay, so premise on premise on premise on premise. What happened in the last 4 months? In the last 4 months, we started this show called The Chop, in which we basically take the edit and completely destroy it. What's the point of it? It's not just for the sake of destroying it. It's for the sake of understanding a little bit better how reality TV works, how it's obviously manipulated, but the problem with manipulation is how it blurs the line between people being characters on television and then being also real people outside of television. So we started this list of streams for every episode of season 12, and occasionally we released a full episode. Mostly when we realized that the edit for some of the queens were getting really out of control. And so in that manner we put a whole video out to make it stand out more, because not everybody is following the streams. But mostly we talked about it in the stream. And one of the things we talked about it from the very first stream of season 12 was the fact that Gigi Goode was getting a hero edit. What's a hero edit? Well, a hero edit is a style of editing. It's basically when you have a person who is portrayed as in as much as a flattery way as possible, which includes getting free passes, getting overpraised, having full moments edited out, for example. Let's think of queens like Sharon Needles, for example. She had a mixed kind of edit. She had a hero/underdog edit. So she really had the best of both worlds. But in season 4, when Fifi was talking about, helping Jiggly going home, leaked surfaced that Sharon was completely in on it. But it was completely edited out because it didn't go with the hero/underdog edit. So you understand these edits are extremely powerful when it comes to the outcome of the competition. And since we've had 15 seasons of Drag Race before season 12, we also have a ton of experience in how the edit looks like, how the queens are actually judged, what kind of critiques they get, why they get them. So a lot of us couldn't miss the fact that Gigi was getting praised for things that many other queens were read to filth in the very previous season. So if you jumped in Drag Race from season 11, season 12, maybe for you Gigi's edit looked completely legit. But for us who've been watching this show for more than a decade, there was clearly something going on here. There was something going on here. Everybody noticed it. Everybody speculated as to why it was, what exactly it was, when we could see it coming out in full force, when it was more contained. There was this huge discussion that I carried on for something like 12 live streams, talking about the edit, the hero edit, blah, 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 blah. And I even have a full episode of The Chop, which is still in production on it, talking about the hero edit, why it was achieved, what was the purpose behind it. But long story short, Gigi had a hero edit. And so we, on this channel, and basically most of our viewers as well, speculated that she was going to be the winner. When you get that kind of edit from episode 1, and you also given most of the wins for everybody else, clearly the production wants you to win. But then the final episode aired, and she didn't win. So a question was came to our minds. How the hell did she not win after all the trouble the production went through the whole episodes of the whole season to give her such a hero edit, and then in the end they didn't crown her? Why did it happen? So you can understand how a question like this was misconstrued as you are shitting on Jada, because you are missing all the premise that goes beyond it. As a matter of fact, since episode, the second premiere, we have been very vocal about who we wanted to win. And trust me, it was not Gigi at all. At all. So, I chickened out of making a video about this because you know what's going on with the channel, but we can talk about it in the stream. So strap on because it's going to be a ride. It's really going to be a ride. And let's start. Let's start with the leaks. Okay. Now, you've seen this leak coming out. What they're basically saying, this leak is made by it's a third-hand leak. Okay, this leak refers to a post originally made by a user called Oh Honey. Okay, he deleted most of his posts because I checked his recent history and there was nothing there. And it was also reported that he deleted those. So I tend to believe that they were there and they were deleted. But this is what you see on screen is a third-hand leak of what Ho Honey leaked on May the 24th. It's exactly 1 week before the finale aired. Was it exactly 1 week? Wait a moment, let me check my notes. It was 6 days before the finale aired. And in this leak, what Oh Honey says is that Gigi Goode filmed a lip sync video in a studio, that people were not happy about it, and that because of that, she was almost disqualified, despite being the producer's choice to win. That's what they mean in the leak when they say their winner. So what was this original post by Ho Honey all about? Because I found another post, this time by another user, who I didn't write down the username, I'm sorry. Oh, the username is Rose Banana. This is the name of the user, who not only reported all the leaks from Oh Honey, but also added a ton of other information from comments removed from Oh Honey. And what Oh Honey did originally in his post of the 24th was predicting the lip sync song for everybody and predicting the winner. So when you come with information like that and you pair it up saying that not only that but also VH1 threatened to sue Gigi Goode if she didn't film a lip sync back in her house like she was told to do so. And you also pair it with the fact that VH1, that World of Wonder was really angry at Gigi because of that. You start to believe that all of this is true. Because why would you make it up? And even if you didn't make it up, how can I not believe it when you made such huge prediction 1 week before everybody else saw the episode? So everybody went under the impression that what you see in this post here is completely true. All of it. So VH1 threatened legal action. Yes, it's true. World of Wonder was not happy. Yes, it's true. Gigi Goode filmed their lip sync in a studio. Yes, it's true. But is it? That's a question that I want to ask you. Is it true? Just because some of the information in here turned out to be true doesn't necessarily mean that all of it is true. So the question that I'm really asking is it really true? And if it's not true, then what is the real reason why the hero of the season, of which we discussed for almost 30 hours, why didn't win? Why? Because we know there was riggery behind the scenes. So what was the reason of the course correction? Let's check it out, okay? But in order to check it out, we need to first understand the setting in which all of these things will eventually evolve and play a part into the final outcome that we saw. Now, When was season 12 filmed? Season 12 was filmed last summer. It was filmed, I think, in July. It's even July or the end of June until the beginning of August. Well, you get the period. It was the summer of 2019. And it ended up airing in March of 2020. So you see, there is a long time between the moment in which the season was actually filmed and the moment in which we actually saw the season. Now, that time span is there for a very good reason. It's not just because they planned to air Drag Race in the spring. That's not the point. The point is that when they filmed the season, they end up with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of material, of video material, and even more of audio material. They have thousands of hours. I'm not just spitting numbers on the top of my mind. These are numbers on which we actually did the math. They have thousands of hours of audio material. That's a ton of material that you have there, and you have to condense all of that into a 10-hour show. And you also have to manage to tell a story, a coherent story. You also have to manage giving an impression for each queen. You have to create the storylines. You have to edit the storylines. That is a ton of work, and it doesn't take a couple weeks to make. It takes months, usually 6 months. Now, the point of this is that not only editing, it's very time consuming, but it's also not a straightforward process. It just doesn't go from point A to point B. And that is because there is a chain of command in there. You have the editors who actually do the editing. Then on top of them, you have the producers. Hopefully not all 44 of them, because we counted them. We have the producers who have an idea of which storylines they want to convey, which kind of editing they want, which kind of things they want to see, which kind of things they don't want to see, and they have their own idea, and they tell the editors to carry it out. Then a product comes out of it, and that product is sent to the company, World of Wonder. And World of Wonder might have something to say about it. Maybe they don't like something. Maybe they don't like a queen. Maybe they think that a storyline is not conveyed properly, so they send it back to the editors. Then the editors work on it again. And then it gets sent to VH1, and maybe VH1 has something to say. Maybe they don't like a queen again. Maybe they don't like an editing. Maybe they don't think the whole episode is entertaining. Who knows which kind of feedback they give? But one thing is for sure, they give their feedback. And the footage goes back to the editors. So you have to understand, it takes 6 months, not only because you have a ton of work to do, you also have a ton of powers who all have to agree on the final outcome. And on top of them, there is a network, the one who is ultimately paying for the show. So let's keep this in mind, because this is one of the hints that we will need to unravel this situation. Okay? Now, with that said, let's move on to the second point that I want to make. Now, we spend a ton of time on every live stream talking about that damn contract for Drag Race. We will never talk about it enough, and you will always hear me talking about how much I would like to see the newer contracts, because this that we have is from Season 8. So we talked about this Season 8 contract. The point is that I have to find a way to phrase it correctly. What is the purpose of this contract? Because you might say the contract is there to protect the queen and protect the production and lay down who shall do what and who shall do this and who shall do that. But from my perspective, there is more to the contract. The contract is a way in which the production can easily transform each queen into an asset. And assets can be exploited. For what? Well, it's a company, it's there for making a profit. And if you read this contract, you will find a ton of convenient clauses that can be easily exploited for profit. So the queens are not only the ones who make the show worth watchable. They're not only priceless because they make the show. They're also priceless because they become viable assets once the show is over. And we're going to see why. We're going to see why and how it happens. For the moment, suffice it to say that when the queens go on the show, the stakes are high for everyone, okay? But for the ones who have very favorable storylines and very favorable edits, like Gigi Goode, for example, the stakes are even higher. They become the face of the brand. They have the possibility of creating a very successful career. They get a ton of following, and they have a huge platform. But if you think that the stakes are high for the queens with good storylines, take it from World of Wonder's perspective, because for them, the stakes are even higher. Because when you have queens of the caliber of Gigi Goode, who is young, who is versatile, who is successful, prior to Drag Race she was already successful, she is appealing, and you give her a hero headed, and then you crown her, and you have her under a contract like this, you are looking at a ton of money. So you have to understand that in this light, we can talk about talent as much as you want. But talent is not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation is money and how you can make the most. Who gives a shit about talent? That's the point. That's the message that I see behind this contract. Who gives a shit about talent? Show me the green. That's what I want. And that is the whole point of this conversation that we're having. It's not that your opinion is irrelevant, but it's not in line with the point. So there is a time and a place in which we can discuss about talent. This is not the place. This is about money. Now, when it comes to Gigi Goode, you have to understand one thing. Her reception was extremely polarizing. It basically split people in two. On one side, you have people like us who said, wait a moment. She's getting a hero headed. These wins that she has, they are at best questionable. You know? There is something going on with her headed, and I don't like that. It's not that I don't like her. I don't like the way she's being portrayed. It's making the show less enjoyable for me. You know? But I am me. A lot of other people, the vast majority of the people, actually came out and were very vocal about saying Gigi Goode is worth nothing. She is there to be pushed by the production, but she is a talentless hack. That's what half of the fandom is still saying today. The other half went completely crazy. They went batshit crazy. For them, Gigi Goode was the second coming of Bianca Del Rio. Some even went as far as calling Gigi even better than Bianca Del Rio. Okay? Now, I'm not here to discuss the merits and the lows of these two opposite points of view, because that's not the point of the whole thing. The point of the whole thing is that you have these two factions who are both really vocal, who come from very different places, opposite places, but if you asked these two factions, who do you think World of Wonder wants to win? Chances are that these two opposed factions will both agree. Even only for this one instance, they will both agree that Gigi Goode was the one that the producers wanted to win, not necessarily who they wanted to win or who they thought deserved to win, but who the production wanted to win. And that is the important thing that you have to remember, because everybody agreed on that. And when you have so many people agreeing on the same thing, you know that you are onto something. What exactly? Well, let's find out. Let's find out. So, you had the Twitter polls. And the Twitter polls are telling a whole different story. Despite how vocal people are about Gigi for one way or another, despite the very favorable edit that she got on the show, people didn't buy it. People didn't buy it. She was the least favorite out of the three. Now, is this a reason to throw away the winner, the person that you chose to win? Well, no, not at all. Not at all. After all, these are only people on Twitter. People on Twitter are people on Twitter. What you care about is paying customers. Because are paying customers the one that will make Gigi Goode valuable? Sorry, valuable. These are the ones you really care about. You don't really care about people on Twitter clicking like or clicking retweet. You want to deal with those people who put their money where their mouth is. That's the kind of people you want. The one that will subscribe to WOW Plus. The one who will buy Gigi's merchandise. The one who will buy her song. The one who will book her. This is the kind of people you're interested in. Which are not necessarily the people who came to this outcome on Twitter. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind. So we have a whole episode of dismantling the hero edit and how it basically transformed a queen into a golden goose. Okay, so I'm not going to do that here because that episode will come out and we're going to completely dismantle that and go in detail, clause by clause, on how, from my perspective and from my opinion, what World of Wonder was trying to do with Gigi Goode was to effectively transform her into a golden goose. Okay? So, at least for now, trust me on that one. There was a ton of money to make, and with very good reason. And this Twitter poll was not enough to deviate from that plan. You would be an idiot to deviate from that plan because of that. Okay? Now, let's move on to a third piece of the puzzle. And the third piece is called image. Now, when you think about image, you have to understand that image is not just the way you appear. When you are a person, of course, it is the way you appear. But if you are a company, your image is your means to make money. And if you are a company, you're there to make money. You're not there to be nice. You're not there to signal virtues that we should all embrace. You're not there to be fair. And you are not there to be a role model. You are there to make money. And everything else serves that purpose and that purpose only. If some of these things fall in line with that purpose, then very good, you wear them. But if they don't, they get swooped under the carpet because a company is there for making money. And that's what a company does. And an image for a company is money. You cannot make money if your image is tarnished. And that is so true that we already saw it happening during the season 12. Do you remember the Frozen runway? Did you notice something? Something interesting happening? Because Sherry Pie's runway was not shown. Interesting, isn't that? Her runway was shown in every other episode. What made this episode so special that they didn't want... Oh wait, Frozen is a property of the Disney company. And maybe they wouldn't think it would be flattering to take one of their most profitable assets, like Frozen, connected to the action of a person like Sherry Pie. So what I think happened is that someone made a call and said, you will tune this down now. Not if, not maybe, not in exchange for. You will do it. And that's how it is. And this, I think, is what happened with Sherry Pie's runway. Curious that it went down only in this episode. So, with that in mind, let's talk about one tiny thing. If the queens, who are single people, have to pay $2 million to World of Wonder if they damage their image, how much fucking money do you think World of Wonder will have to pay if they damage Disney's image or VH1's image? How much fucking money? 100? 200 millions? 300? I don't know. There is no way to know. Maybe it's in their contract, probably it's not. These are big companies. When you have money spelled out loud like this, it's never in big contracts, at least in my opinion. But if the queens have to pay 2 millions, how much does a company has to pay? Let's think about that. And now you start seeing how Sherry Pie's runway went out of the window like that. So with that said, shocking, isn't it? Yes, when you look like this, it starts to become shocking. So let's keep image in mind, because that's your third piece of the puzzle. And let's move on into this fucking rabbit hole that has become what started as a simple assumption that somebody was propped up to win. Let's move on to our last piece of the puzzle. And the last piece is called quarantine. Now, what's so interesting about quarantine? Oh, well, trust me. There is so much that is interesting about quarantine. Fucking quarantine. So, out of the blue, you have people that has to stay home. They cannot get out anymore. They lost their job. They lost their income. Quarantine ruined a ton of people. A lot of us were completely bored and left with nothing to do at home. You had small company completely wiped out. You had the U.S. government releasing more than $1 trillion. $1 trillion. You know how much money that is? That is 1,000 billions. $1,000 billion to cover the asses of the public because they couldn't work, because they were stuck at home. That's how big that was. And you might think, well, so basically all of us faced financial ruin. Fair enough, most of us, yes. We were all in the same boat. But were we? Because somebody out there wasn't. Think about companies like YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, or cable TV. They made a killing. They absolutely made a killing from quarantine. Out of the blue, you started having articles talking about internet going down because so many people were stuck at home watching Disney Plus, watching YouTube, watching Netflix, watching whatever it was available to watch because they had nothing to do. These companies, they made a killing during quarantine, with their profits, in my opinion, no less than tripled. And I'm being generous. So you have to understand, when you profit so much from quarantine, well, being all about social distancing, it's not just the honorable thing to do, the right thing to do, it's also the profitable thing to do. Why do you think that Soulless Network went out pushing bullshit about being alone together? Pushing, oh, we need to be socially conscious. We need to care for the immunocompromised. We need to care. When did this company care? What they care is profit. Why the fuck are you caring so much about all these social issues? When did it happen? Oh wait, I'm sure. It's just a coincidence. that it's also the way they're making profit. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. There is no connection whatsoever. And if there is, it's because I'm a sad person with a sick mind who really doesn't want to see the beauty of the world and how these big companies are all about caring of us, about us. They care about us. That's why they try to sensitize everybody into being alone at home together, watching cable TV and streaming services. So, this is our last piece of the puzzle. This quarantine was a match made in heaven. They got to look good and they got to make a ton of money out of it. So much money that you and I couldn't spend it for bare surviving, goods, a car, whatever it is. We couldn't spend it in 2 or 3 years. That's how much they probably made in an hour. So, you have to understand that they all had a strong incentive into embracing the stay-at-home business. Let's be all about staying at home. Let's be all about social business. Social distances, sorry. Let's have, you know what? Let's have some of the advertising being alone together. Let's infuse the programming with quarantine sensitization and being safe and being at home. Did that happen on cable TV? Oh, wait. Yes, that happened. That's exactly what happened. Do you remember the final episode of Drag Race? Do you remember tributes to social distancing? Wasn't that final episode, in a way, all about social distancing? Oh well, if you thought that happened by chance, then trust me, I envy you. You are a beautiful person, you have a heart of gold. And I am not that person at all. And I don't think that was a case. I don't think that happened by chance at all. So, now that finally we have all the pieces of the puzzle, let's talk about why the fuck they worked for 6 months to create a hero headed for someone who was going to rank in more money than any other queens has ever ranked in, and then not crown her. Why? Well, because something interesting started happening. Something very, very interesting started happening. Was this video filmed out of quarantine? Well, we don't know if that is true, but let's try to argue about it. Okay? Let's try to argue about it, because after all, we have only 2 options. Either it's false, or either it's true. So let's go with both options and see if maybe they meet in the middle, and we can carry out some good information out of it. Now, if the rumor was false, if Gigi never filmed in a studio, then what was the point for the network to interfere at all? I mean, nothing happened. What was the point of interfering? So, everything would have gone on as planned. Gigi would have been crowned as she was supposed to. And this is what would have happened if the rumors was false. But what if the rumor was true? Well, in that case I have to ask you something. Why would the network have interfered with what was going on? Why? Because remember one thing, okay? Gigi Goode is under contract from World of Wonder, not from VH1. So, based on that, if anything, VH1 would have came into contact with World of Wonder, not with Gigi Goode. So when the rumor says that VH1 threatened to sue Gigi Goode, threaten her for what? She's not even under contract from them. She's not even under contract from them. She has a contract with World of Wonder. It's a completely different story. So you start seeing that, well, there is something about that rumor that is not rubbing me quite right. But let's continue, okay? Let's assume that the rumor is true. Gigi really went out. She really went out. She really filmed out of quarantine, which now we know it's bad publicity. And it's not just bad publicity, it's also bad business. So what would the network have done? Well, they would have picked up the phone, called World of Wonder and say, listen, we are all about quarantine in here. We are all about social distancing in here. We invested our image and our profit into quarantine. So keep your girl in line. And that's what World of Wonder would have done. And then she would have been crowned, as she was supposed to. Because guess what? Guess what? RuPaul's Drag Race is still a very profitable brand. If World of Wonder was not happy with VH1, they could do this and move to another network without any problems, maybe even get more money doing that. So if you are a network like VH1, you think twice before having a heavy hand with whoever is producing a famous show for you. You know, you want to be happy. You want to have everybody happy. Having some things done and without interfering too much. Find the right balance, because we're all in this business and we're all here for profiting and we are all here to be, you know, good with each other. There is no reasons to walk onto someone else's feet if you really don't absolutely have to. So why would they interfered with the winner? It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. So either if the rumor is true or if it is false, none of these situations can justify why Gigi didn't win when she was supposed to win, in our opinion, of course. So there must be something else. There must be something else. So what the fuck is that something else? Well, on May 26th, 3 days before the finale, Gigi Goode posted an upcoming collaboration with Jeffree Star. People rumored that she broke quarantine to film that. At the best of my knowledge, she never disproved that. She never came out saying it was filmed before. At the best of my knowledge. I might be wrong, of course. I can always be wrong. Nevertheless, this made the rounds everywhere. Despite what looked like an inside job on Reddit to keep it down as much as possible, it was picked up by everyone. And when I mean everyone, I mean everyone. Like, for example, the tabloids who reported on that. That is the Mirror. Did you see any of these tabloids reporting if Gigi filmed her lip sync in a studio? Because as far as we are concerned, that was just a rumor. Nobody picked up on that at all. Nobody even know. I didn't even know it existed until I saw a hint of it the day after the finale. Nobody picked up on it. But you know what? 3 days before the finale, everybody picked up on this. She's breaking quarantine. She's breaking social distancing. And that's a whole lot of a fuck for a company who is making a ton of money out of social distancing. For a company who invested its own image into respecting quarantine. That's a blow. That's what it's called, a blow. And if that wasn't enough, she broke quarantine to film with Jeffree Star. Now, I am not up to date with what's going on with Jeffree Star because I don't follow him. It's just not appealing to me. I just don't follow him. I don't necessarily have an opinion of what's going on around him. But if you look around on YouTube, if you listen to the rumor, there are a lot of very controversial rumors going around Jeffree Star. So not only she broke quarantine, but she broke quarantine to film with a controversial person. And that's a ton of bad publicity. That's a ton of bad publicity. And of course, you might ask yourself, is this enough? Well, we don't have to ask ourselves that. Because the day after, on May 27th, Gigi tweeted this. And the post reads, 2 more days, I cannot breathe. Now we can discuss on how sensitive you have to be to misread this tweet. We can discuss, of course. You know, this is an open space. We can discuss about everything. But that's not the point. The point is that this person, if she has to become the face of a brand, and that brand was paid handsomely by the network, then that fucking person does not have to insult the line that the network has invested for gaining and going on with its own business. People are dying because they asphyxiate. That's why you need to respect quarantine. And this, it's not just bad publicity. This is suicide. For a company who is going out there, and until the very last episode of The Raised, we saw a message of respecting quarantine, of staying at home, of beware, and you have people dying of asphyxiation. She tweets, I cannot breathe. And we can discuss all you want about the intention behind it, about the meaning behind it. We can do that. But the point is that from the point of view of a huge corporation, it doesn't fucking matter. If somebody even thinks that she means what she might mean, it doesn't fucking matter. That's money on the line. Tons of money. And you can imagine what happened after she tweeted this. Because it didn't stay hidden. People picked up on it. On Reddit, on Facebook, on social media, people picked up on this. It didn't stay silent. It wasn't something that could have been swooped under the carpet. It happened, and everybody saw it happening. And you know what's worse? That the same day, the 27th of May, 2 days before the finale, the story of George Floyd finally was given coverage. After what happened 2 days before, finally it was given viral coverage. His last words, I can't breathe. Now what the fuck is going on? Because this doesn't look good. This doesn't just look like we are going to lose money. This is starting to look like your whole business is going to go out of the window, swooped out by a movement who is going to turn America upside down. Because it looked like Gigi was mocking a tragedy. Now, you have to understand that we can talk about talent as much as we want. But when you have things like this going on, talent means nothing anymore. That's not about talent. And a lot of queens didn't stay silent about it. Bob tweeted this. She tweeted this the day after, May 28th. Sorry. Bob tweeted this the same day of May 27th. Gigi responded with what you see on the right the day after on May 28th, 1 day before the finale. Calling out not for her tweet, which, you know, I think we can all agree that she didn't mean that. Nevertheless, you have to fucking say something. You have to say so. You cannot stay silent when you see what's going on. You have to. You have to. You are the front runner of a show who is being the main voice of a queer movement in one of the most powerful nations in the world. And with this happened, you need to open your fucking mouth. And she didn't. So not only did it look the way it looked before, but this adds on. This piles up. And when she comes up with this, how does it look like to you? I'll tell you how it looks like to me. It looks like the bare minimum. That looks like the bare minimum. And if that wasn't enough, because if you think that we are even remotely finished, we are not. We are not. Because this surfaced. Buckle up, divas. I want to get some things out of my chest. Do you? I'm sorry, but I can accept ignorance until a certain point. I can accept ignorance. I cannot accept willful ignorance. This is exactly what it looks like. This came out immediately after her response to Bob on May 28th, the day before the finale. And you see this long post talking about, well, I should have talked about it, I should have been educating myself, I should have been political, I should have been this, I should have been that. And you know, a part of me wants to empathize with Gigi, because she is just a person like anyone else who out of the blue became the front runner in this huge show. Out of the blue, she got hundreds of thousands of followers out of nowhere, and she's just 21, and it's probably daunting, and it's probably all of these things together. And I want to empathize with that, because if you know me, you know that 90% of the time I will choose to empathize instead of pointing my finger. But the point is, you might be as clueless as you want, but you can still hire a fucking publicist. 21 is not too young to understand that you need to hire a fucking publicist. And she came out with this. And if that wasn't enough, do you see the quote there? It's in the last tweet on the bottom right. As Dorothy prepares to return to Kansas, Gilda tells her she's been able to leave all along. Well, Gigi, how fucking good that turned out to you. Because you are never going to leave this, no matter what you do. And if that wasn't enough, just imagine what her final lip sync theme was. Yes, it was fucking Dorothy. So, you see, how does this look to you? Because I am going to work, I'm going to quote the words of a legend. And that legend said, this is Apollo lying. She is Apollo lying. What she's doing is plugging her reveal. Is it true? Well, that's up to you to decide. What I can tell you is yes, it looks like it. It's certainly reasonable to believe that that conclusion has some merits. Because the same post went on Instagram with a video from the Wizard of Oz. Yes. At the time I took the screenshot, which I think was 2 weeks ago, this had 500,000 views. So, You start to understand a couple of things now, do you? Because at this point, this last post was the day before the finale. And at this point, by the day came that the finale had to air and they had to choose a winner. It didn't matter anymore if Gigi made a killing during the run on the show. It didn't matter if World of Wonder wanted her to win, because at this point they hardly even had the last word on the matter. They had to take their tail, tuck in between their legs, and do what they were told to do, in my opinion, of course. By the day the last episode aired, it didn't even matter if Gigi broke quarantine at all. Because did she? Because, different cities had different rules. And the possibility that Gigi didn't really break quarantine, when you think about it, it's a very real possibility. It could be. I don't know. I'm not informed on the law of counties in a country in which I don't even live, but I know that it's possible, but it doesn't matter. Because the network was embracing the message to stay home, stay safe, and watch cable TV. And it doesn't matter if the rumors that surrounded Jeffree Star turn out to be just smoke in your face. Because even being associated, damaged by association, it has to be avoided at that level of business. You cannot afford it. And it doesn't matter if Gigi's tweet was just the result of being naive, or having no awareness, or bad wording, or bad timing, or if this is just a quote of her favorite movie. It doesn't fucking matter. At this level of business, justifiable is not good enough. Bad wording is not good enough. Bad timing is not good enough. Misunderstood is not good enough. You are to be associated with a powerful network. Your image has to be squeaky clean. Anything less then will inevitably affect the network. And in that kind of business, image means money. Tons and tons of money. So, anyone could have been the winner. Because we know that by the time the finale aired, they filmed all 3 of the crownings. We know that. But in our opinion, when the time came to make a decision on who was going to win, the network simply picked up the phone, made the call, and vetoed World of Wonder to even think about crowning Gigi Goode, to even remotely think about that. Because Gigi now became a controversial figure, and her actions seem in direct conflict with the network interest, with interest defined as money and image, which equals money. What we can do is to simply assume that they just wanted nothing to do with Gigi. She might be young, she might be talented, she might be whatever you want, but maybe she should have just hired a fucking professional to manage her image. The best couple of $1,000 ever invested in the history of Drag Race. Some have even speculated that since what happened to George Floyd, VH1 not only vetoed World of Wonder for crowning Gigi, but they actively pushed for Jada to be the winner. Now, is it plausible? Well, at this point, you have an idea of how my mind works, so of course it's plausible. We are talking about companies, and companies are known for how calculated their politics are. Because everything is calculated. They have department doing advanced statistic. And that advanced statistic, I'm talking about log normal distributions. You probably don't even know how to spell it, much less how it looks and what it means when you're talking about managing risk. So of course, I believe that it's possible that VH1 said, you know what, let's crown a black queen. And that will look good on our resume and everything will be fine. Of course. But there is a difference between what I think happened and what I want to believe. Because in my fantasy, there was a clear winner there with a ton of talent who rose to the occasion like fucking no one did in a long time, and she deserved to win, and she won. And this is what I like to believe. Do I know that probably that's not the reason? Yes, of course I know that. I'm not that stupid. Nevertheless, let me leave my fucking fantasy. So, this season was tainted, one way or the other. There was no escaping this. Jada was crowned, but still you have people out there saying, well, she wasn't really crowned because she deserved it. She was crowned because of what happened. And it might be true, it might be false, we'll never know, but it taints the winning, nevertheless. But if Gigi was crowned, then her win would have been tainted as well, because people would have said, well, of course she won, she had a hero headed. She'd been pushed the whole time. And that would have tainted her win as well. And if they crowned Crystal, people would have said, well, of course they crowned Crystal. They couldn't crown Jada or Gigi. It was too controversial for both of them. Crystal was the easy way out. She was crowned because she was the easy way out, not really because she didn't deserve it. So you see, there was no escape this season at all. It was a lose-lose-lose situation. Anyone who was crowned would have been inevitably followed by controversy, no matter what. So let's just be happy that it's over. And if you have been listening for this video for the last fucking hour, I hope you understand why I'm talking about it on stream and I didn't make a video out of it after what's going on with the channel. With that said, let's move on to the comments, shall we? And relax a little bit, because trust me, if your head exploded, mine did as well. Mine did as well. Because, you know, I'm all for leaving the fantasy, you know, as long as you're self-aware of it. And at times you can jump out of it and see things from a different perspective. And that was the point of this video. Seeing things from the perspective of a company who is out there making money and another company, a bigger one, that has to deal with the first one in order to make their share of money. Okay, let's move on to the comments, shall we? Where should I start? I'm starting from the last one, so if you want me to read something, you can start writing now. Kiara says, facts are facts. Jeffrey Jill, Crystal would have been because Rue had a crush. You mean the winner? Donna Polite, Gigi stayed doing the wrong thing then. I'm not sure I'm reading that right. Fantasia said, thank you, Kayo, for staying informed. What did Kayo said? Oh, Kayo said, I can't with this. I mean, I'm literally 14 and I'm informed myself on politics because everything comes down to politics. The girl is privileged, period. In a way, I agree. I agree. In a way, I completely agree. Dixie, that is my fantasy as well. I know the truth, but we'll hang on to it knowing the real winner was crowned. I completely agree with it. I completely agree with it. You know, I will push leaving your fantasy as long as you can, but always live it retaining the ability to jump out of it. Don't lose yourself in the fantasy too much, because if you do, then you become delusional. And you know, delusion, convince yourself. Lady Baconator, in my opinion, the safe option would have been Crystal, not Jada. Well, Crystal would have been a safer option than Gigi. I will agree with that. But considering what went on and how easy it was to predict what was going to happen, I think that really tipped the network's end. If they did, if everything we said, you know, has a foundation at all, okay? Because a lot of people, when it comes down to going back to, you know, the fantasy and talking about talent and so on, I mean, Jada completely killed it. Crystal had a great track record because she was in continuous rise. It was unstoppable. It was rising and rising and rising and very constant in the rising. While Jada was more up and downs. So it generates this perception that one is doing better than the other. That Crystal is doing better than Jada, because of the ups and downs. Lena Clark, host, if you think you're going to relax reading the comments, please hold on to that optimism. Oh shit. Kiara, I would have been so here for Crystal to win, but Jada did deserve it in the end. Sasha, Lady Baconator, I agree. On Crystal, yes. Mrs. G, Crystal wasn't on par with the other girls at the finale. That's the reason why she had no chance to win. Dixie, it was very wise to have discussed it on stream, and I'm very grateful. Must have taken an immense amount of time to disclose all of this information. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for listening. It was, you know, a good couple days of research, going around, finding things, taking screenshot, working on Photoshop, plugging the whole things together, and then there was the script to be written, and so on and so on. And maybe we will still publish a video about it. I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see about it, because you know it's daunting when you push for people to start seeing things from this other point of view. That it's not necessarily the right one, but it surely opens your eyes to a much, much wider way of seeing things. It's you know, it's not easy to digest, let's say it like this. Fantasia said, some people aren't even aware that things are happening. Yes, some people aren't even aware of what's happening outside of their window. And some people are and just ignore it. Zoe A, Miz Cracker is not doing review with a Jew for this season. Doesn't that seem a bit weird? She said she was working on something better, but maybe she isn't happy with the season? Well, I commented on Twitter. Believe it or not, I've been silent on Twitter for like 2 weeks, I think. No, maybe not 2 weeks, but let's say for a long time. At least a good 10 days. And my only comment was on that tweet from Miz Cracker. And my answer was the contract this year more draconian than usual? So I don't know why she's not doing review with a Jew, because that's arguably the best part of Cracker, at least online. I watched review with a Jew for season 11, I think. I cannot even remember. That's what happened when you binge watch. But I binge watched it. So it's entertaining. It does its job. It's strange that she gave up one of her best assets. So yes, I think there is something there. I don't know what or why. It could be that maybe because you know the All Stars contract is not the regular contract. Because of course these queens have a lot of bargaining power. You cannot simply push them down to the basic contract, you know. So maybe they had something to give up. Maybe she traded Review with a Jew for something else, and she just cannot do that anymore. Remember what happened to Willem's Beatdown? Willem's Beatdown was originally on the Stylish channel, and when she wanted to go on her own with the Beatdown, I think she had legal issues because of the name, because she started calling it Willem's Witdown, and then she started calling it Beatdown with Willem. You know, and when you have such a recognizable brand, you want to use it always. So why didn't she use Willem Beatdown? Well, that's probably because the name was property of somebody else. And that I think that something similar might be happening with Review with a Jew. We'll see. If she comes out with the same exact thing with a different name, then we know for sure. Kayo Kamada, Gigi has a social responsibility and the girl uses her platform to do absolutely nothing with it. That is some bullshit. I completely agree. But also, you know, I don't think she even understands what she signed up for when she decided to compete in this competition. Because you have to understand, Drag Race has such a name today that only for competing, you're not just signing away your likeness in the contract. You're also committing to be the voice of a platform, whether you like it or not. Even if you don't like it, people will elevate you to that. People will expect that because that's the meaning of the brand. So while I respect people who decide to stay away from the platform as much as possible, I cannot really condone a front runner on Drag Race to do that. I can understand Brita doing it, but I don't understand Gigi doing it. Teresa says, I honestly believe that Gigi was set to win, but World of Wonder and Rue chose Jada in response to the BLM movement. I'm not sure I can say it without YouTube being a bitch to us. But you know. Oh. CDP. I'm super grateful to have the chance to get wiser. Thank you. Thank you if you were entertained. Oh, damn. I skipped a lot of comments. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Lady Baconator. Jada was the right winner. I think she won the lip sync fair and square. Though I will not act like this discussion about Gigi didn't have merit. Thank you. And yes, I agree. Her lip sync was better. If we had to judge solely based on the lip sync, well then there is no discussion to begin with. At all. Dixie. It would not have been safe for Crystal to win under the circumstances. I hope not, but I think you have kind of a point there. CDP. Watching this kind of content makes me feel like a naive viewer. How do you find out all these things and TV show business companies' mechanism? Do you study it? Is it your job? I'm so impressed. Well, I'm really private about my private life, so I will not answer these things. But what I can tell you is that I go and look around a lot, you know. The problem on the internet is there is a ton of everything. So a lot of what's really proving you is the ability to go out there and sort things out and understand who is reliable, who is not reliable, what things have merit, what things don't have merit, which kind of leads you can follow, hoping to find something. It's for me, it's a nice hobby because I'm very curious. I'm compulsively curious. So looking for things and finding answer and making making assumptions and trying to verify them. For me, it's really compelling. That's also why I'm, most of this show talks about the edit and things people don't normally see because, it's just part of the way in which we enjoy this kind of show. I hope that answers your question. Teresa said, I don't like how you're all dragging Gigi, and I don't even like her. That's the worst part. You're all forcing me to defend Gigi. It's terrible to assume she is privileged. Hate is hate. Any direction. Well, I think many of the things that have been said here in the chat are fair, kind of fair. And I think dragging is something else. I understand though your point of view, if you care to listen to what I want to say. I understand that many things can be worded in a very different way. Teresa, you also have to understand, many of the people here, including me, are not even native English speaker. So expect us to word things in the improper way. And give everyone the benefit of the doubt because of that, because the language and cultural barrier is very, very real. And I think that when somebody is really dragging someone else, you see a very different kind of language. You see a relentless way of commenting on it that goes like boom, 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 boom. So I don't really see it happening here, but I didn't follow the chat from the beginning. So. Fantasia, oh my god, Teresa, you're controversial. Lady Baconator, I think that the backlash to Gigi's edit and how Gigi acted on social media played more of a role than BLM did. I tend to agree with that, by a long shot. By a long shot. Jeffrey Jill, Teresa, Lady Baconator. Teresa, no one is dragging Gigi. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Fantasia, no one is hating on Gigi. Chiara, we do think Gigi is talented. Why can't you just see that she has some bad sides too, like anybody? I completely agree. She has a lot of growing up to do, which is a good thing. You know, if she was 40 and acting like this, then, you know, I would have to say there's no hope, you know? But, you know, doing this kind of bullshit, it's a normal part of growing up, especially in that age. So I think we all agree on that. Jeffrey Jill, how can you expect someone to do so much on their personal budget during a pandemic? Oh, that was a comment on Teresa. Sorry, I lost it. Teresa said, I personally felt that Jada put zero effort into her production for the finale. And it made her victory feel hollow. Okay, that's why Jeffrey responded with, how can you expect to do so much on their budget during a pandemic? Well, I understand why it can look like that. But, you know, all are valid ways of lip-syncing. All of them. Jada was lip-syncing in a very, let's say, classical way. Where the other two girls... Or are we talking about the final lip-sync or the pre-lip-sync? I'm thinking we're talking about the pre-lip-sync. Well, anyway... The point is, there are different styles of doing things, and having a lot of props and having a lot of reveals has become a major part of what is considered in the last 5 to 6 years what is a good lip sync. You have to have reveals, you have to have settings, you have to have things, you have to have a gag, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. But the point is, there are different styles. There are different styles altogether. Chiara, oh, that's good. That's good. You were doing my point as well. Her aesthetic is more classical doesn't mean that she didn't work for it. Fantasia, Jada gave authentic stay-at-home lip sync. Yes, that's what I thought as well. That's what I thought as well. She really feels like, okay, she's at home. And if you looked at her apartment from the you know, during the finale, you had different chances of sneaking into their apartment from different points of view. It was tiny. It was really, really tiny. She moved things around many, many times. Many times. Teresa, I see that. I find her unlikable, but I don't like prejudice in any direction. Jill, can we discuss Mayhem's hem, please? She was tripping over it. What the hell is Mayhem's hem? What's a hem? Wait a moment. Firing up Google Translate right now. A hem. Oh, a seam. Is it even called a seam? A hem. Well, I didn't notice that. I'm sorry. Mrs. G, I'm starting to think Teresa is a troll. Yes, Teresa, don't push your luck. I mean, we are all making a step in your direction, okay? Make one in our direction and everybody is happy about it. Of course, Kayo Kamada had to go even harder on that, saying she's white, she's privileged, we don't need to know her entire life story to see that. Harrison Scantling, starting to think. I blocked her. Kayo Kamada, being privileged is not a bad thing. Being willfully ignorant is bad. Lena Clark, I went to make dinner and we're still humoring her. Why? Because I'm late reading the comments. That's why. Kiara, she chose not to get involved because she had the privilege not to care. Damn. That doesn't mean she can't grow and inform herself and become more aware and possibly do better in the future. I had it possibly. Lena Clark, I wasn't talking about Gigi. Fantasia said, Lena, I left it alone. I just kept going. It just kept going. Oh. Damn. Teresa, just don't think we should be so quick to judge. Sorry. Okay. I think I need to vape. Yes, you guys are more awake than me. You are already going in the right direction already. Fantasia said, "Let's talk about All Stars 5." Yes, let's change the topic. That's a great thing. Fantasia said, Kamada, who's going home next week? Oh dear God. I'm going to skip, I'm sorry. I think I have kind of the right to do so. Lena Clark, hem is the edge of a garment. Yes, thank you for schooling me. But I checked translate long ago. Daisy Yo Gittens T. Just a random thought. Blaira Saint Moan? What does it mean? Jeffrey, the state of these comments. Lena, Daisy, I actually feel that. What are you feeling, Lena? Are you wearing pants? Oh my God. Teresa, I'm not a troll. I'm just opinionated and really enjoying this discussion. Yes, but not everybody is feeling his oats, which means something is not going the way it's supposed to be going. So I'm not here to bestow judgment upon everybody. I'm just saying it how I see it. Kiara, you're just Gigi Stan. We got it. Let's talk about something else, please. And we have some Brazilian going on in the chat, which I don't understand. But since I have Google Translate, why not use it? Oh, you were giving a welcome back to Diogo. Okay. Lina said, did everyone like the chicken? I thought the chicken was lovely. Yara said, the chicken? It's a meme. Oh my god, the chicken. Lena Clark, host, not knowing the slang of feeling something. It's American slang. Feeling something means you like or agree with it. Oh, thank you. No, I'm not comfortable with idioms. They are difficult to grasp, and you either know the meaning of it or you actually had at least a chance to understood its huge usage many times, so that you actually understand that there is a figurative meaning beyond the literal one. So yes, I mean, that is part of the fact that you're listening to someone who is not native English. That it's something that you have to account for it. I hope that the quality of the information and the quality of the discussion can overcome that, but we're always going to have a language barrier, one way or the other. It might get better over time, but it's always going to be there. Kaio Kamada said, look at the material. You can't be the judge of it. What is he referring to? Daisy said, Blair Samorn is a mix between Pheromone and Blair Sinclair. It just came into my head today and I couldn't stop thinking about it. You know what I can never stop thinking about it when I think about Pheromone? It's how she lost her wig during DragCon. How she was feeling her oats. And her wig said, you know what? I got something to do over there. Oh, damn. Dixie said, oh no, our host is getting the giggles, my favorite part. Yes, it's when it starts getting too late, I slip into stupidity. By the way, I burned all my neurons for that long discussion about the network and the company and the edit and blah blah blah. I don't have any functioning neurons anymore, at least not until I sleep. Riza said, I'm sorry if I offended anyone. I thought different opinions would be fun. Yes, but you have to acknowledge one thing. The environment is the way it is. Okay, people online, they just write shit all of the time without thinking, without acknowledging anyone, without any kind of effort, and this is what is normal. And then you come here to the chat where a load of people collected over time, everyone doing the best they can to think in the way they word things, to not be disrespectful to anybody else, to just, try to think a little bit before you just fire up the keyboard, and everybody's really sensitive to the fact that you cannot really have a conversation out there, because everybody has to have either a good opinion or a wrong opinion, and that's about it. So that's how it comes off. That's how it comes off. There is nothing personal. Caio Kamada, Brazil is taking over. Yep. Cracuda. Diogo, yes, Brazilian is gonna rule this world. We'll see. We'll see about that. Oh, the chat skipped again. Oh my god. My god. YouTube is really, really making everything impossible to work with. This damn chat. From a moment to another, you're just pushed 15 minutes before, and it doesn't even tell you where you were before. Amateur season, I am back. Welcome back. Diogo with some advertisement. Follow Gloria Groove. Do Brazil, y'all. Also, Dakota Monteiro. Or whatever. I don't know them. Are they drag queens? Are they commentators? That's starting to get curious, but I'm not sure I can open another window without my computer getting crazy. Donna Polite. It was Gigi's crown to lose, but she made too many wrong decisions. Sorry for the wording. That's okay. That's okay. I completely agree. I think it was also pretty clear by the edit. I mean, by the end of it, we've all felt our hopes for kind of a long time, fantasizing about Jada winning and blah 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 and blah blah blah. So in a way, I think everyone in the chat will agree that we went to the final episode expecting Jada not to win. No, kind of resigned to the fact that, well, there is not much that we can really do. So it was a really nice surprise. Teresa said possible Snatch Game performances for All Stars 5. I have no idea. I don't think they're going to do a Snatch Game because they changed it last All Stars. They did the Snatch Game of Love. So I don't know. It's always difficult with impersonations because we never know what they really prepared and what they were forbidden to actually do. Because a lot of the queens prepare something and they're really good at something, and then the production comes in and said, nope, you cannot do that. Or, they actually send the message of, well, you should do this, you should do this. I mean, I remember Derek that didn't want to do Britney already in season 8. And, Rue coming out and saying things like, oh, well, you have to do what you're comfortable with. And so I don't know. Who has great acting abilities in there? Like great ones that would actually kill a Snatch Game. The fact that I don't get a name, it's not a good thing. Amateur season. I want Blair to slay the Snatch Game. It would be nice. It would be nice for Blair to win something at some point, since they made it pretty clear that they're going to send her home sooner. It would be nice if they actually gave her a win. That tiny bit of validation for once. Teresa, I can't remember what she did in her season. Me neither. Lena Clark, she didn't make Snatch Game her season. I don't think so. Damn, we're all asleep already. Jeffrey comes in and saves the day. She got eliminated. Fuck. Teresa said, please forgive me. This is my first time participating in a chat like this. It's okay. Fantasia, if you can't remember, she didn't do good. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Lena Clark said, she's gotten good at being punchy. I think Blair would have been funny as Miranda Priestley in Snatch Game, making snide fashion-oriented insults. Okay, it's clearly almost time to go to bed. Snide fashion. Snide. Am I missing a word? Snide. Oh, that's an actual word. I thought it was a typo. Huh. The more you know. I don't know. Blair? Snide? Sassy, maybe. Maybe. Sassy. Jeffrey Jill, I wonder who Derek would have been. Kiara Brittany? Kayo Kamada, I'm sorry if I got too critical. I'm just too passionate about this topic. Everybody is. Everybody is, you know. We were sensitized by the show to react over emotionally. And like it or not, one way or the other, we carry this thing on with us. Jeffrey said she did Britney last time. Yes, I got you. Talking about Derek, I'm completely obsessed with Willem's video about Derek, whose lyrics are basically Derek. And I kind of had a fight with my partner because of it, because I kept singing it for like non-stop for 3 or 4 hours in the car, going around in the house. So yeah, there's that. Lena Clark, Derek should do Britney's little sister. Who? That answers your question. Zoe 101. Kiara, Britney has a little sister. Jeffrey, Zoe 101. She had a show on Nickelodeon. I'm sure that's pronounced differently because I heard about it. And I also heard that you have to show your feet to be on that show. That's a rumor, but you know, as every rumor, I urge you to Google that and see what you come out with. Fantasia, amateur season. When are we having another episode of Boogers versus Heathers? Yes, you did only one episode. You did only one episode. I noticed. And I also noticed the effort that you put in the last video. So props to you. Takes a ton of time to make that kind of jump in quality. So good for you. Teresa, I hope Juju has a great character. She picked a dude last time, but her attention to detail was hilarious. I like Juju in her Snatch game in Season 2. She did the old woman. I cannot remember the name. But she was not that bad. But, you know, it was Season 2. Nobody even knew what they were actually doing. Amateur season. I expected Jada to win. And I respect your optimism. Because I was absolutely convinced they would never allow her. Kayo Kamada. Gloria Groove is a singer and Dakota is a drag queen and a YouTuber. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Fantasia, Snatch Game of Love was horrible. I completely agree. It was horrible. I don't know why they even changed it. You know, you have the library going away from regular season. You have proper Snatch Game going away from All-Star season. What's going on? Are they like dividing the assets as if the main show is going through a divorce with All-Stars? So you have the library on All-Stars but not on the regular season. Then you have proper Snatch Game on the regular season but not on All-Stars. This is starting to make sense because I heard a rumor that All-Stars was supposed to air on Showtime. And people had to pay for another subscription because it's another network. It's another cable network. So maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe there is some truth to it. I'll have to look into it because this is starting to get interesting. Where am I? Of course, I'm in my room and I'm streaming. That's not what I mean. I lost the chat again. Oh shit. Where is the chat? Lena Clark says Snatch Game of Love was awful. But I say, would someone please come get this little girl all the time now? And I cannot recall that, which says a lot already by itself. Fantasia said, Shay's Snatch Game was great. I cannot recall that as well. I cannot recall anything at this point. You just have to talk within yourself in there because my brain is just not working. Teresa, what about Caitlyn Jenner? That was pretty hilarious. Who did Caitlyn Jenner? Oh, Trinity. Well, you know, considering what was going on that season, didn't also take much to look pretty good. Amateur season, Team Blair, Team Jujubee, Team Alyssa Summers, and Team Cracker. I think Alyssa Summers is the one who deserves it the most in there. Just because nobody remembers her. Nobody remembers her. Poor Alyssa. Kiara, what do you think Shay is going to do? I think she's going to slay. Does that answer the question or does it not? Lina, Trinity was a knockout. Pantsuit for days. Kayo Kamada, girl? Alyssa Summers? Well, maybe she has a lot to offer. I don't follow her, so I don't know what's going on out of the race. Jeffrey, I think the girls in Snatch Game of Love did good, but the layout didn't really suit them. Yes, it doesn't look like... how can I say? It looks like it's not a proper format. It's not a kind of it's a format that incentivize? No. They put the incentive on talking onto each other, onto really stealing the scene from each other. Well, Snatch Game is much more relaxed. They actually have a time to elaborate their comedy, you know? So Snatch Game of Love feels much more closer to stand up than conventional comedy like Snatch Game, which of course there's also some qualities of stand up to it, but it's not like the primary note to it. So probably that's why I didn't really enjoy it. And also the girls, were a little bit under par. But you cannot have you cannot have this great performances all together all of the time. Lena Clark, I'm teaching host. So much vocabulary tonight, yes. And be sure it will be forgotten by tomorrow. Kamada, no one died at Stonewall. Teresa, if I were ever to go on RuPaul's Drag Race, mine would be easy. Teresa Giudice. Dicey. Oh. Whatever it is. Jeffrey Jill, Jocelyn Fox who? Oh, come on. Come in. Fantasia said come in. Oh yes, Jocelyn was so precious during her snatch game. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good because it was also unexpected. Did anybody really expect, when you first watched season 6, did anybody expect Jocelyn to do that good? I was blown away. I was blown away. That come in bit was so good. It was so good. And to think that she wanted to do the nanny. What was her name? I cannot recall the name. Okay, guys, it's really getting late. I'm completely destroyed. I'm completely unable to go on. It's simply too late. I'm burned out. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. Sorry for the comments that I didn't get to read. But you know, it was kind of a hard stream. It was a lot of stuff to prepare. It was a lot of emotions. It was a lot of energy keeping on into maintaining as much as possible of a respectful language, especially for the queens, especially for Gigi, who, like it or not, has had to go through a lot of shit. Some of it deserved, some of it less deserved, but then again, she's so young, and everybody else involved. So I'll let you know what happens with the channel. If anything happens, remember there is a backup channel on BitChute. It's on bitchute.com/channel/toprpdrvideos. If for some reason you cannot find it, there is a link to it in the Patreon. The Patreon is open, so you will find a link for the videos in there as well. If you cannot find that, there are some links on Twitter. So don't worry, just Google TopRPDR videos, somebody will come up and you will find us, no matter what happens. And then we'll see what happens. If the worst case scenario happens, I will finish most of the videos that I have half done and publish them somewhere else over time. And then we'll see. But there is no reason to really talk about that. We'll first need to see what happens with YouTube. And that is it. Thanks everyone for coming, and I will see you next Sunday. Same place, same time, and same shit dog. So have a great day and good night. Bye everyone.